Project in landscape and urban development. Highly recommended. A general contracting company you can count on. That's KWCC. To request a proposal for your project, visit kwccinc.com. That's kwccinc.com.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Guevalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel, home to the biggest shows on TV, like Brandon Tatum weekdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, followed by Charlie Kirk at 7. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free, now on Zumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Zumo.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This hourly segment is brought to you by HealthQuest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba, Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Did anything happen while I was gone?
I don't know. Maybe a day's worth, a week worth of news in one day.
No, maybe a year's worth. Well, I'm glad to be back just in time for Biden's farewell. I thought he delivered a wonderful eulogy. But before we get to, thank you. But before we get to the outgoing POTUS. When is he outgoing? That's another question.
Leave already. I can't miss you if you don't go.
Karine Jean-Pierre, White House spokeswoman, previewed it because she had to field some of the challenging questions about what's been going on over the last several months leading up to his abrupt departure on Sunday. And again, for those who think does not have the capacity to be the candidate, but of course, he wouldn't have the capacity to continue to serve then as well. Well, no, that doesn't logically follow at all.
We believe, and any suggestion of that note is ridiculous. It is not what we believe. The president, I just laid out what the president has been able to do in almost 4 years, and it's been successful. He's been able to do more, again, than any president has been able to do in 2 terms. He's been able to do that more in 1 term. And he wants to finish the job that he started and delivering more historic results for the American people. And look, he didn't step down from from campaigning or from running because he didn't believe he can serve in a second term. That is not why. And what I would say, as I just finished my opening, I would say tune in. Tune into what he has to say tonight, and he will lay that out.
Yeah, tune in.
So, I mean, he got stabbed in the back by his own party and his best friends. But no, that's okay. No, the Politico report said, you know, the inside source said that Nancy Pelosi said we could either do this the easy way or the hard way. And she gave him 3 weeks. And at the end of that 3 weeks, it was that weekend, that Sunday, boom, he resigned.
Well, the palace intrigue is one thing. The question about capacity for a second term, obviously, to suggest that he didn't have the ability to finish a second term, that is ridiculous. He's stepping out as a candidate, but he's not stepping out as president because he's going to devote all those energies to doing historic things in the last 6 months of his term. That's what we're to believe from KJP. So the inside coup, the coup to keep him inside, that persists, even if there was a concurrent coup that removed him as candidate. But again, don't you dare suggest that Karine Jean-Pierre has been anything less than forthright and completely honest. And anyone else associated with this administration that has returned decency to the White House.
To your first question, it is not a cover-up. I know that is the narrative that you all want. It is not.
Not a cover-up. It was not a cover-up. You know, a lot of this, for the most part, really doesn't matter anymore. So he has shuffled off, been pushed to shuffle off stage, and the focus needs to be on Kamala and all that has transpired over the last 4 years of these two individuals working in that close partnership that you heard the big guy talk about in his remarks to the nation after that wonderful setup, the wonderful pregame from Karine Jean-Pierre. And so we get to the big guy. And we don't get to, he was all in, 5 minutes ago, and now he's all out. We never got any sort of addressing of that issue, did we? But instead we get the pro forma talking points because, look, this is what he's limited to. Frankly, this is what Kamala's limited to as well. When she goes off script, then we get the Kamala magic moments with her deep thoughts, passing the torch.
In recent weeks, it's become clear to me that I need to unite my party in this critical endeavor. I believe my record as president, my leadership in the world, my vision for America's future, all merited a second term. But nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. That includes personal ambition. So I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation. It's the best way to unite our nation.
Behold the selflessness of Joe Biden, something the Biden family is renowned for, their selflessness.
Right. 312-642-5600. That's our turnkey.pro answer line. You can also call 312-642-5600 and text us a message. Our text line is up and running now.
And so passing the torch to save democracy, he warranted a second term, but he's not running for one. Would you care to elaborate? No, he would not. He needs to check some boxes, including formally passing the torch to Kamala by name, which he did.
Just a few months, the American people will choose the course of America's future. I made my choice. I made my views known. I'd like to thank our great Vice President Kamala Harris. She's experienced, she's tough, she's capable. She's been an incredible partner to me and a leader for our country. Now the choice is up to you, the American people. When you make that choice, remember the words of Benjamin Franklin hanging on my wall here in the Oval Office, alongside the busts of Dr. King and Rosa Parks and Cesar Chavez. When Ben Franklin was asked, as he emerged from the convention going on, whether the founders have given America a monarchy or republic, Franklin's response was, a republic, if you can keep it. A republic, if you can keep it. Whether we keep our republic is now in your hands.
He didn't seem all in for Kamala. I feel like that he was there because he was forced to be there, and he made some horse trading behind the scenes. And Jill gets to go to the Olympics tomorrow. Yay! But there were 30 of his family members were surrounded by him, so he delivered his own eulogy with all of them nearby.
Yeah,
Hunter and everyone. They were all there.
It was like Get Low. He was an attendee to his own funeral service, which is something. It's one way to control the messaging about yourself is for you to deliver the eulogy at your service. After more than 50 years in government, Biden has become the emblematic politician, which is no compliment. He came into office promising to heal the rifts dividing the country and instead widen them by his own leftward political turn. He continues to call himself Catholic, yet is blithely pro-choice on abortion. Everything about him, his ideas, his language, his very smile, seem fake. This is Joe Epstein writing in the Wall Street Journal about the not-so-fond farewell. Talking about also, too, Epstein saying, I was never taken with this sort of phony Irish charm. Yeah, the sort of the wink and the nod, the kind of the whole thing. He's
sniffing.
I mean, he and Kamala have one thing in common. There is no authenticity to them. They are cardboard cutout human beings. Biden has just been plying the trade for a lot longer than Kamala. That's all. Epstein. As for me, talking about Biden, I've come to view him as the Russian people were said to view the Tsar. That is, may he live and be well, but not too close to me. Yeah. Not going to. I'm not sure he's not going to get a lot of well-wishers pilgrimaging to Wilmington to check up on him. Biden's close, the close of his eulogy, let him have his day.
Nowhere else on earth could a kid with a stutter, from modest beginnings in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Claymont, Delaware, one day sit behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office as President of the United States. But here I am. That's what's so special about America. We're a nation of promise and possibilities, of dreamers and doers, of ordinary Americans doing extraordinary things. I've given my heart and my soul to our nation, like so many others. I've been blessed a million times in return with the love and support of the American people. I hope you have some idea how grateful I am to all of you. The great thing about America is here, kings and dictators do not rule, the people do. History is in your hands. The power is in your hands. The idea of America lies in your hands. We just have to keep faith, keep the faith, and remember who we are. We're the United States of America, and there's simply nothing beyond our capacity when we do it together. So let's act together, preserve our democracy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, text message, Dan and Amy, there's no doubt this guy has had a stroke.
The health thing is so past post for me now. So it is remembering the scam artist that Biden was for 50 years. This fraud. He's a bad person, and he has enough of his wits about him to know what he's doing. So all this elder abuse stuff. Oh, he wasn't party to this? He's an innocent bystander? I don't think so. So, it would behoove some Republicans, those on the right, to spend a little bit less time essentially biting on every lure the left puts out so that you spend time talking about things they want you to talk about rather than things we should be talking about with respect to Biden. The decency and the personal character counts. Let's talk about character. Let's talk about decency. And then let's talk about your policy record, too. He's this. He has this. Yeah, I mean, in the context of everything that was happening with his future as a candidate and as president hanging in the balance, fine. But give it a rest already and focus on the things that are important. And also focus on helping to drive our writing of history, an accurate writing of history, rather than this, to be polite, stylized version of Biden's history that you got from him last night. He should go down as one of America's greatest enemies. But you hear what the other side is doing, of course. Not only was he a great president, but he's done something no other president did. He took second fiddle to a black woman. So, I mean, it's the advancing the cause for minorities and elevating minorities, all this papering over this DEI corner that they painted themselves into. Stop buying their feints and start focusing on deconstructing the frauds they perpetrate on the American electorate. Be a lot more productive if you want to win and if you want to move the flag when you do.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Speaking of which, at 5:38, Kamala, she's out to a fast start. Oh, the excitement's building. No, it isn't. 5:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
It's 5:32, 63 degrees this morning. Global shares are dropping like a rock. Tokyo's benchmark closing more than 1,300 points. At one point, closing 3.3% lower. Pessimism setting in over Wall Street's overnight nosedive. Chinese shares falling as investors question whether a central bank decision there to cut another key interest rate was right. On Wednesday, U.S. stock indexes had their worst losses since 2022 after profit reports from Tesla and Alphabet helped suck momentum from Wall Street's frenzy over AI. Taiwan has seen flooding in low-lying areas along with landslides and building damage after a typhoon made landfall on that island. President Biden addressing the nation for the first time since his decision to drop out of the 2024 election.
It's not about me. It's about you, your families, your futures. It's about we, the people. We can never forget that. And I never have.
While speaking from the Oval Office yesterday, the president said it's the best way now to pass the torch to a new generation.
I've made my views known. I would like to thank our great Vice President Kamala Harris. She's experienced, she's tough, she's capable. She's been an incredible partner to me and a leader for our country.
Former President Donald Trump speaking for the first time since President Biden ended his campaign for re-election. On Wednesday, Trump speaking at a rally in North Carolina and had harsh criticism of Vice President Kamala Harris.
And just like crooked Joe Biden, Kamala Harris is unfit to lead. She's unfit to lead. She'll destroy our country in a year.
Members of the Congressional Black Caucus are coming out in force to back Kamala Harris.
From the moment that she got into this race, you have seen nothing but history being made, finally, for the right reasons.
Top Republicans are slamming Vice President Harris for skipping out on Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's address to Congress. Texas Senator John Cornyn.
Vice President of the United States has a responsibility to attend these speeches in the joint session in the House of Representatives. I have been here quite a while. I don't remember any occasion previously where the vice president hasn't shown up.
Netanyahu stressed the U.S. and Israel must stand together against Iran's axis of terror.
It's a clash between those who glorify death and those who sanctify life.
This morning, the FAA says they're going to increase oversight over Southwest Airlines over a series of close calls near airports. NORAD says it scrambled fighter jets to intercept 2 Russian Tu-95 Bear bombers and 2 Chinese bombers off the coast of Alaska. 3 children are recovering following a fire at a CHA building in the city's Douglas neighborhood yesterday. Cubs gave up a go-ahead run in the top of the 9th in a 3-2 loss to the Brewers at Wrigley, while the White Sox lost to the Rangers 10-2. The news, a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
If you claim to stand for unity,
An already unprecedented election season.
you need to do more more than just use the word.
just got even more complicated.
I'm never going to drop out, and now I'm dropping out.
As Kamala Harris prepares to become the Democratic nominee.
I'd vote for Kamala.
There's an incredible bench in the Democratic Party.
29 days until they have to make a decision on a nominee.
What happens next happens here.
Kamala Harris, not a fan.
On your election station.
I don't think Kamala has a chance to beat Trump.
AM 560. The Answer.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. Joe Biden's withdrawal from the presidential field marks the end of an era. Biden was the last nexus to the Democrats' New Deal working class days. Democrats are now officially the party of technocratic elites and hard-left radicals, ruled by a big money oligarchy with priorities and obsessions far distant from those of everyday Americans. Kamala Harris is a fitting mascot for the post-Biden Democrats. She comes from San Francisco and has never won a non-Californian's vote. She can't credibly pursue Joe Biden's lunch bucket strategy of competing in Rust Belt states like Michigan and Wisconsin. Harris is likely to pursue a Southern strategy focused on North Carolina and Georgia. She may well look carefully at moderate governors like Roy Cooper of North Carolina or Andy Beshear of Kentucky when choosing a running mate. One thing is certain. It's not your parents' Democratic Party. I'm Carol Platt-Liebau.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. Not too long ago, two friends of mine were talking to a Cuban refugee, a businessman who had escaped from Castro. And in the midst of his story, one of my friends turned to the other and said, "We don't know how lucky we are." And the Cuban stopped and said, "How lucky you are. I had some place to escape to." And in that sentence, he told us the entire story. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. And this idea that government is beholden to the people, that it has no other source of power except the sovereign people, is still the newest and the most unique idea in all the long history of man's relation to man.
This moment in American history has been brought to you by Earthworks. Learn more today at earthworksinc.com.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
5:39. Let's get an update on the roads in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. Dan Ryan already stacking up inbound in the locals, 35th into the Chinatown feeder. And I-57 outbound slows up east and westbound near 167th. The exit and entrance ramps there closed until 6 a.m. with ongoing road work. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Mostly sunny today. Pleasant, less humid. High 79, clear and 60 overnight. Clear and 63 right now. Next news at 6. And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. America First with Sebastian Gorka. Weekday afternoons at 3 on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So the race is on between Kamala and Trump. We're waiting for her VP selection, which should be in the next week. They got to have it done by August 7th, according to the DNC chairman, to make sure they're on the ballot in all 50 states.
Well,
And it's very exciting because Democrats have renewed energy. Kamala can win. It's a new day in the Democrat Party, and Trump is in trouble. That's what we're to believe. As we're introduced, not reintroduced, we're being introduced for the first time to Kamala Harris, because the way the D.C. press corps is reporting on her is like, who is this person? This Kamala
Never
Harris,
heard of her
this
before.
Kamala Harris you speak of, she's being so predictable. In fact, I tweeted it as soon as Biden resigned. Now comes the phase where you do Kamala Harris is not an object of ridicule on the left, which she is. She was an object of ridicule on the left. Now she is bringing the party together. She's she's a generational leader with a keen legal mind and a commitment to social justice that can heal our divide. I mean, it's remarkable.
Well, she's the it girl right now.
She is not. They run the same propaganda every single time. Insert name. It's the same rap.
Okay, then
It's the same snake oil.
What do you make of the $120 million she raised so far?
It's going
Small
to go
donation.
to whoever is the Dem socialist nominee. Money means nothing. Everybody focused on money. You think this is a money election? Do you think it matters how much money Trump has versus Kamala? One has $250 million on hand. The other has $150. I'm sorry. Is someone unfamiliar with Donald Trump? No. Is someone unfamiliar with Kamala Harris and Biden? Very few. And so the question is the money being used to try to drive the race to be a referendum on the other guy, which both sides are doing. But there are diminishing marginal returns to money with 100 days to go. Both sides, as per usual, will have the money they need to win.
Okay.
So I that's not a measure of anything other than, yes, they both have base votes and a combination of big donors and small donors that generate a lot of cash spread across a country of 330 million people.
Okay, then what do you make of Vote.org? They say 40,000 have registered to vote in the past 2 days. Mostly black women. And yesterday she was in Indianapolis, talking to some members of the Divine Nine. That's the black sororities and fraternities.
I'm familiar with them.
Yeah. Well, no, some people aren't. But, I mean, and she's an AKA, and they're based in Chicago. And Cook County Commissioner Donna Miller is like so excited. And they were on this big phone call with 40,000 sorority sisters and got people to register to vote that have never voted before. The energy is there.
So how many votes were cast in 2020?
For Biden, 81 million.
So total. So 150 million?
Yeah. 40,000.
You're missing the forest for the twigs. But all of this, hyping Kamala and trying to reintroduce her with new branding because the current branding is so bad. Let's remember the inside coup to keep Biden in was because they couldn't default to Kamala because she's even worse. And now all of a sudden, no, she's the white knight. She's the savior. Okay. Boy, a lot's changed in a week. This is, though, the hyperventilating going on by the D.C. press corps on behalf of Kamala. Encourage Tony Fabrizio, Trump's pollster, who I know well. I've used him on races for 20 years. He's the best.
Okay.
Many of you this is the memo he put on Tuesday. Many of you have heard me refer to the upcoming Harris honeymoon that I expect to see in the public polling over the next couple weeks. As I've explained, the honeymoon will be a manifestation of the wall-to-wall coverage Harris receives from the MSM, mainstream media. The coverage will be largely positive, will certainly energize Democrats and some other parts of their coalition, at least in the short term. That means we'll start seeing public polling, particularly national polls, where Harris is gaining on or even leading Trump, which we've seen. Obviously, the situation we find ourselves in is totally uncharted territory, has no modern historical parallel, but there are some things that haven't changed. Due to the events of the past 2 weeks, including our highly successful convention, Trump has seen a bump in his numbers in a number of recent public polls. That's not surprising. Most candidates get a bump coming out of their convention. And that bump, the bump that Trump received, and then given what's happened over the past couple of weeks and her impending VP choice, no question Harris will get a bump earlier than the Dems convention. That bump is likely to start showing itself over the next few days and will last a while until the race settles back down. The Democrats and the mainstream media will try to tout these polls as proof that the race has changed, but the fundamentals of the race stay the same. The Democrats deposing one nominee for another doesn't change voters' discontent over the economy, inflation, crime, open border, housing costs, not to mention concern over 2 foreign wars. Before long, Harris's honeymoon will end, and voters will refocus on her role as Biden's partner and co-pilot. As importantly, voters will learn about Harris's record before becoming Biden's partner on all of these issues, and some of what basically happened in the Democrat primary when she ran in 2020, which in part, in addition to her just repellent personality, is why she needed to make it to the Iowa caucus.
She was polling at 1%.
But now, I mean, and you know,
now she's the cat's meow.
Well, because that's the choice.
I know.
It has nothing to do with her. She didn't all of a sudden become a new person with a different record and different character traits and so forth. It's just this is what they have to do. They would do the same thing if a potted plant was nominated to replace Biden. This is the most wonderful potted plant. This is a potted plant that, you know, can unite the country and cure racial divides and grow incomes and provide economic opportunity. Please elect this potted plant. It would be the same thing.
It's just so hypocritical.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
I want to bring this to you. This was on MSNBC. These people who are undecided voters are on to Kamala Harris, and they know exactly what she did.
She's worked with him. She's been, to my understanding, with him daily, or at least a couple of days a week. Why hasn't this been brought to attention? If she's willing to hide that type of information once she's in office, now what she's willing to hide for herself. Why are you now being okay with exposing Biden's health concerns? Is it because it benefits you?
Knowing the things that they've been hiding in plain sight from the American public, I cannot find it in myself to vote for a Democrat.
By the way, I mean, there's a lot of mixed reporting. This unity that is being celebrated by the media, because, again, you have to present this united front even if it's not united. I mean, this is being addressed in leftist outlets over at The Nation. The illusion of party unity in the Democratic Party, talking about the schism between the Bolsheviks and the Mensheviks that we talked about, that was playing itself out with Biden's future as the nominee. The New York Post, Obama doesn't believe Kamala Harris can beat Trump, which is why he hasn't endorsed her yet. He'll come around because they have no choice. But
he probably wants a say in who she picks as VP.
Perhaps.
They want to get the old white man, white woman suburbanite vote.
The New Republic, the one vice presidential pick who could ruin Democratic unity, such as it is, Josh Shapiro.
Because he's too Jewish, I heard.
Correct.
He's not only Jewish, but he's pro-Israel.
Right.
He doesn't like Hamas.
Yeah, and Josh Shapiro is a coward too. I mean, he's right on Israel, but he's a coward because he lied repeatedly about his support for school choice, and that's just like this jelly belly coward that we have. People that have had all the opportunities to send their kids to the best schools, and then they cut the bridge behind them so that people with lesser means who are otherwise relegated to failing schools don't get the same opportunities, while they run around talking about how they're for downtrodden minorities and lower middle income families struggling to make it and also get their kids to a good school and the gateway to opportunity, blah, blah, blah. So Josh Shapiro is a repulsive figure to me as a politician. Just because he's right on Israel doesn't absolve him of these other matters. But my point is, all this, unity, everything's unified, and there's still some grumbling about Trump. There's no grumbling about Trump.
No.
I mean, you want to talk about a party after the failed assassination attempt? That's a party that's unified. This is what you saw on stage at the convention when his vanquished opponents, both from 2016 and 2020, were there to give their full-throated endorsements. Meanwhile, you have all of this caterwauling going on, yes, in close quarters and muted tones, because that's the nature of the behind-the-scenes maneuvering that's going on. But there's no unity. She's not an it girl accept with identitarians in the mainstream media because they have no choice. There is nothing about this race that has fundamentally changed. And Kamala's numbers coming into it when they were matching her up against Trump prior to effectively now her ascendancy as the replacement nominee, I mean, they were worse in states that they have to win, starting with Pennsylvania. Nothing's changed.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on that same number.
George in Naperville.
Yes, Dan, I think Kamala's more than an it girl. I think her campaign song should be, I'm every woman, it's all in me.
Oh, nice.
Wonderful.
Well, I think he practiced that, too.
Greg Schomburg.
Well, welcome back, you two. Dan, did you hear that there's a rumor of a 28th Amendment that's circulating right now? Come on, you're supposed to say yes.
I'm leery of playing. I'm leery of playing Ed McMahon here, Johnny Carson. But okay.
Dan and Amy can't take any vacation, or the world goes to hell.
Right there, you go. There you go.
Hey, wait a minute! Don't hang up on me.
Go ahead.
All right, here we go, Dan. A lot has happened since you were gone.
I've heard.
I still right. Right. Here's what's still going to happen. Here's why Obama's still in the background here. There still will be the 25th Amendment that will come. You can just see it building. They're going to go through the convention. They're going to get the convention bump that they got. Then Biden is going to be suddenly so sick he can't continue. They are then going to put, the 25th Amendment in place. The vice president will be in place at that point. And she will then pardon, as I said 2 weeks ago, she will then pardon both Hunter and Joe, and she will then pardon Trump. And she will then be positioned as the state's president forever or whatever.
Okay.
And that's her best shot.
She's not going to pardon Trump.
I'm dizzy, but so how does it make sense for Kamala to do any pardoning before November 5th?
Because they're going to go after the squishy 6% and position her as the state's president. It's the only thing they've got.
Oh, you're saying, so she does pardons across the board to show that she's post-partisan and we need to end the lawfare. We need to bring the country
America
together. Save our democracy.
We have to bring America together and
it's interesting.
Violins in the background, etc. They're going after the emotions of that 6%, Dan. It's so obvious.
Yeah, I don't think they can do that. Thanks for the call, Greg. It's a fun fantasy political theory, but I don't think they can do that. First of all, you can pardon Hitler. And, your message has suffered enough with having to offer thoughts and prayers for Hitler. Hitler Trump, I'm talking about. So he's Hitler Trump, but we hope he gets well. So maybe he's not Hitler then? So now we're going to pardon Hitler because we can't have lawfare against Hitler. And that's going to sit how with your base? Don't forget your base. And don't forget these people that have complete mind rot. There is no brain between their ears. There's just political cant about Trump that they repeat. Rinse and repeat. Like a 24/7 cycle. So she can't do that. She can pardon Biden just as a matter of course because he hasn't been charged with anything. Right. Oh, by the way. She can Hunter. She can pardon Hunter, that is. But if I'm Joe, why would I trust anything? The deal has to be I step aside, but I stay in until after the election at least because that's the time where I blanket pardon anybody and anything I need to blanket pardon.
Well, Jill wanted to make sure she went to the Olympics that start tomorrow,
so
important to them.
I don't
he
see
wants to campaign with Kamala.
I don't see that, and I also don't see the huge advantage to getting Biden out and Kamala in as president. I mean, I don't think there's a huge political advantage there. In point of fact, some separation of Kamala from Joe and from everything that's going on probably helps her. The lack of professional separation of Kamala from Joe hurts her.
Right. So, I mean, he said he's going to campaign with her. He said that.
Well, of course he
He's
has
gonna be
to.
at the DNC.
He has to say that. He's not going to be anywhere.
Do you think he's going to go to the DNC for his final farewell speech?
Yeah.
If he makes it that long? I mean, old people do die. They do. It's just a fact.
Yeah. Okay. So what? What does that mean? Why? I don't understand. I was listening to all this Weekend at Bernie's that Biden was already dead, all this conspiracy chatter on social media. You think that's helpful? You think that's smart?
Well, people hadn't seen him in 5 days.
I understand why.
And then the letter, he wrote the letter not on letterhead.
And so you immediately, right. More conspiracy theories. Let's run 2 or 3 at a time. And then what happens? Oh, then he gives an address last night where he gets through 11 minutes reading a teleprompter. And all those conspiracy theories go up in smoke. Don't they? Gabby and Schaumburg, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, good morning, guys. I try to get my stuff straight in my head, what I'm going to talk about. Anyhow, this whole thing is terrifying. It was a coup. He only spoke for 11 minutes. Something so important. 11 minutes is what you gave the people. Kamala, the fundraising and the voting and the votes for her. I'm sorry, I don't believe any of it. I believe it's all propaganda. All propaganda. I don't believe a stitch of it, and it's terrifying. And that's it. Welcome back, Dan. Really missed you. Bye bye.
Thanks, Gabby. Lewis, Southside.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy.
Yeah.
Did you listen to Joe Biden's speech last night?
We did.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Okay. He's still in the race. What he's doing is he's still running, but he's not going to take the loss. He's going to let Kamala Harris take the loss. That's what's happening.
Well, I think she's well positioned to take that loss. Thanks for the call, Lewis.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one. Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If it's time for a new roof, your siding's looking old, you need new windows, gutters, or a reliable restoration company, trust me, AAA Roofing Contractors is who to call. They're the real deal. And speaking of deals, AAA offers a wide range of discounts, including military and healthcare provider discounts. And due to the recent storm, AAA Roofing Contractors is giving out free inspections in your neighborhood. The storm may have caused a lot of damage to your property, so please don't hesitate to reach out. AAA Roofing Contractors specializes specifically in insurance restoration claims. They're here to help you every step of the way so you get what you deserve. They value every shingle customer. In fact, they make sure clients are 100% satisfied. Schedule a free home improvement consultation now. Call 847-730-4026 or book online at arcroofinginc.com. Roofing, siding, gutters, windows. Family-owned AAA does it all and does it right and are insurance specialists. That's 847-730-4026. arcroofinginc.com.
Call your foursome to tee up for prizes and great fun. It's the 27th Annual Cruise Chicago Leader Impact Golf Outing. Join Leader Impact for a fun day on the course at Bloomingdale Golf Club August 5th. Shotgun start 8:30 a.m. with lunch and awards at 1:30. A foursome is $1,000. Includes 4 squares for prizes and 12 mulligans per group. For details, email bob.blesser@gmail.com. Leader Impact, providing extraordinary experiences for business leaders and executives. Weekly meetings integrating the Christian faith.
AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
FBI Director Christopher Wray on the Hill testifying about the ongoing investigation, of course, whatever their kind is there. The ongoing investigation into the failed assassination attempt, updating that at 6:06.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
Charges pending after a shooting and standoff in Schaumburg. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
President Biden says it's time to pass the torch. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. That includes personal ambition.
In an Oval Office address days after dropping out of the 2024 race, the president said he thinks the job he's done merits a second term.
Great thing about America is here, kings and dictators do not rule. The people do.
But he will finish his term, he says.
The president's to-do list for the next 6 months is long. He claims that in that time he can lower costs, grow the economy, call out hate, protect kids from gun violence, finish the cancer moonshot, end the war in Gaza, and reform the Supreme Court.
Fox's Peter Doocy at the White House. Now, former President Trump called the Biden speech so bad and barely understandable in a post on Truth Social after saying this in Charlotte, North Carolina.
So now we have a new victim to defeat. Lion Kamala Harris, Lion, L-Y-I-N apostrophe.
Calling the vice president the most liberal elected politician in history.
Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here. You're fired.
Well, the vice president is now the presumptive Democratic nominee.
Harris is going to have a challenger for the nomination. It needs to happen soon. The DNC Rules Committee has issued a July 30 deadline for candidates to collect delegate signatures. The virtual roll call must be completed by August 7th.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. Today, both the president and vice president will meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu after his address to Congress drew thousands of protests. Some burned American flags.
I have a message for these protesters. When the tyrants of Tehran, who hang gays from cranes and murder women for not covering their hair, are praising, promoting, and funding you, you have officially become Iran's useful idiots.
Dozens of Democrats boycotted the speech. Progressive Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib held up a sign calling Netanyahu a war criminal. America's listening to Fox News.
63 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 3 kids are recovering following a fire at a CHA building in the city's Douglas neighborhood. The 3 children under the age of 12 remain hospitalized, one with burns, the other 2 suffering smoke inhalation. Charges are pending following a shooting and standoff in Schaumburg. Officials say police responded yesterday after a noise dispute between a resident and a contracted tree trimmer.
They got like the Army vehicle out there with 6 or 8 guys in each vehicle.
The suspect barricaded himself inside that home for hours until he surrendered last night. Supporters of Palestine and Hamas terrorists gathered Wednesday afternoon at Federal Plaza to march in solidarity with protests in Washington of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. One person was arrested. A change of tune for Governor J.B. Pritzker after speculation arose Wednesday anew about being considered for the Democrat vice presidential nomination. While appearing on CNN's The Lead with Jake Tapper, Pritzker was asked if he's been asked to submit paperwork to be vetted as a possible running mate.
Well, I'm not going to talk about any private conversations that I've had, but as you know, I've been traveling the country advocating for Kamala Harris, for the Democratic ticket, and making sure that we're beating Donald Trump everywhere we can.
In other news we're following, a Dalton trustee is looking to replace embattled incumbent Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Jason House announcing that he's running for mayor next year. At the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee last week, Texas Governor Greg Abbott promised his state would continue busing illegal migrants to sanctuary cities like Chicago. Yesterday, Budget Director Annette Guzman told the City Council, a committee on immigrant and refugee rights, that she fully expects a surge, but it's not been budgeted for.
No, so the surge that we anticipated is above and beyond the model that the state, county, and the city put together.
According to city data, more than 44,000 migrants have arrived in Chicago in the last 2 years. Cubs gave up the go-ahead run in the top of the 9th in a 3-2 loss to the Brew Crew. White Sox lost to the Rangers 10-2. 6:04 is our time. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk was witness to something powerful.
I mean, you think about it, this is a guy who 48 hours prior was shot. But there he is with the bandage, walking up, and there seemed to be a different vibe with President Trump, almost like a reflective. Even Chris Wallace on CNN, he said this was one of the most powerful moments in a convention he's seen in his entire reporting career.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Small business owners, we know finishing your to-do list can feel like rowing upstream. But it's a river, a whitewater river, and the only paddles you have are pool noodles. Then when a new to-do pops up, you're like, nope, I'm already rowing upstream with these pool noodle paddles. At Progressive, we don't want to make your day any harder. That's why we make it easy to get personalized discounts with a commercial auto insurance quote online, so your to-do list is smooth sailing. See if you can save on commercial auto insurance in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverages and discounts not available in all states and subject to policy terms and underwriting.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $240. There are only 2 good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance cost you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
6:07. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that, of course, in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. And traffic is also a service of In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard Sunday morning at 6:30 on AM 560, The Answer. Tri-State jamming up northbound between the Reagan I-88 and the Eisenhower merge this morning. Dan Ryan Express lanes jammed up inbound, Pershing to the Stevenson. Slowdowns on the Ike inbound between 25th and 1st Avenue. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Mostly sunny, less humid, terrific day. High today at 79, clear tonight, low 60. Mostly sunny, nice day tomorrow, and the high at 83. Sunny and pleasant Saturday, the high up to 88. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
63 at O'Hare, next news at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So, FBI Director Christopher Wray was on the Hill before the House Judiciary Committee, testifying before Jim Jordan and the gang about the ongoing FBI investigation. Another FBI cottawample, it feels like, doesn't it?
Cottawample.
Cottawample.
Right, common spelling.
Yeah. Cottawample is the way to describe purposeful travel with a vague destination.
Wow.
So that's basically what I feel like when I listen to people like Christopher Wray or that now resigned Secret Service Director Cheadle. It's just that we're doing things very purposefully, but to no particular end. This is why you never get any resolution about cocaine in the White House or a leaked Supreme Court opinion. And based on the details that Christopher Wray was able to share, not governed by the nebulous standard of I can't tell you because it's an ongoing investigation, it's another cottawample. I'm telling you.
Word for the day, cottawample. Let's hashtag it right now. Boom.
So Wray is not even able to say definitively at this point whether or not Trump was shot. Take a listen. This is an exchange with Jim Jordan.
Where did all 8 bullets go is, I guess, my question.
I don't have that in front of me. I'm happy to circle back and get that to you. It's assuming we have that information yet. As I said, I think with respect to former President Trump, there's some question about whether or not it's a bullet or shrapnel that that hit his ear. So it's conceivable. Although, as I sit here right now, I don't know whether that bullet, in addition to causing the grazing, could have also landed somewhere else. But I believe we've accounted for all of the shots and the cartridges. So let us.
So even that answer was unclear. The bullet accounted for the grazing and landed somewhere else. So then he was shot. But you're saying, he said initially it sounded like you didn't know if it was a bullet or shrapnel.
Yeah, he wasn't sure. Yeah.
8 bullets. Where did the 8 bullets end up? Well, we know obviously one killed Corey Comparator.
One hit Trump.
2 people were injured. So I mean,
and they had a hydraulics machine behind.
But all this this is like showing up for a test unprepared. You didn't think you were going to be asked about that? These are sort of obvious evidentiary questions to gather an understanding of what happened, and so we got some details, but they're details that don't provide more clarity to the picture. It's interesting that he bought a ladder, but the ladder wasn't there. They don't know what happened to the ladder. They don't think he used the ladder to gain access to the sloped roof.
He flew a drone over the place 2 hours before the event.
Well, right. I mean, this is the stuff that really gets into it. And then now let's talk about how does Secret Service not have eyes on that drone that is flying over the footprint of the rally? Why do we know yet? Did Secret Service have drone coverage? Because that's something that they can utilize as well. Not that they needed it, because so many people seem to have eyes on the shooter for so long prior to his opening fire. And then we get sort of these details about the other items in the shooter's possession. Particularly the most relevant one is he has this transmitter that's on his person, and then he has explosives that were found in his car. So what else did he have? Well, here's that exchange.
So we have recovered a drone that the shooter appears to have used. It's being exploited and analyzed by the FBI lab. The drone was recovered in his vehicle. So at the time of the shooting, the drone was in his vehicle with the controller. In addition, our investigation has uncovered.
Do you know what time of day he flew it, and if he flew it on the day of the shot?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So in addition, it appears that around 3:50 p.m., 4 o'clock in that window, on the day of the shooting, that the shooter was flying the drone around the area
2 hours.
For about 11 minutes. I want to be clear, but when I say the area, not over the stage and that part of the area itself. I would say about 200 yards, give or take, away from that. We think, but we do not know. So again, this is one of these things that's qualified because of our ongoing review, that he was live streaming, viewing the footage from that, again, about 11 minutes in around the 3:50, 4 o'clock p.m. range.
2 hours before, he's flying a drone in the vicinity of the rally.
About 200 yards away, yes.
Yards. Okay, that's important information. What about the bombs that we heard about in the shooter's car?
So again, the FBI lab is exploiting those explosive devices. There were, we've recovered 3 devices, 2 in his vehicle and 1 back in his residence.
Are these what you would call, your experts would call sophisticated operations, or this? I don't know. That's what I've been told by people who have some understanding of this area.
Yeah, I think it's. We've seen more sophisticated and less. I would say these are relatively, again, keyword relatively crude devices themselves, but they did have the ability to be detonated remotely. And so to that point, in addition to the 2 devices that we recovered out of his vehicle, there were receivers for those 2 explosive devices with the devices. And then on the shooter himself, when he was killed by law enforcement, he had a transmitter with him. Now, I do want to add one important point here, is at the moment, it looks to us, again, ongoing review, and I can't say that too many times. At a moment, it looks like because of the on-off position on the receivers, that if he had tried to detonate those devices from the roof, it would not have worked. Okay. But that doesn't mean the explosives weren't dangerous.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on the same line. I'm not instilling a lot of confidence in the system.
We got other information that he testified to. I'm talking about Christopher Wray, that on the day, this is from, searching his computers and so forth, search histories. The day he registered to attend the rally, talking about the shooter, he conducted a Google search for, quote, how far away was Oswald from Kennedy, unquote. Yeah, okay. But we still don't have, if someone correct me if I missed it, I didn't get any more insight into possible motive.
No.
I didn't get any more insight into the Secret Service performance. I still don't know if we're ever going to see transcripts of the radio transmissions between Secret Service that day. I want to know what the decision making was in real time. And that doesn't seem to be something that anybody's pressing. They didn't really press Cheadle on it, and they didn't press Wray yesterday on it. But that's the whole. At least
that's
if you
everything.
want, even if we never get to motive, because maybe there isn't an easy motive to identify. That's possible. I understand that. But Secret Service's decision making in real time over the course of those, I don't know, at least 2 hours, now that we know a drone was flying over, his drone was flying over 2 hours before the rally. I want to hear it. I want to see it. And anybody conducting an ongoing investigation, Christopher Wray, should want to know that and see that too, because it helps you to understand not only what the shooter did, that's part of the investigation, but what law enforcement, Secret Service, and local police did throughout the course of those days' events as well.
Well, who is supposed to be in charge of that building and that rooftop?
Well,
it's
not supposed to be in charge. Secret Service is in charge.
They're in charge, but they delegated that area to local police. Local police is disputing that, and according to ABC News, they said that the officers did not go on the roof because it was too hot out.
Yeah, they didn't delegate it. They assigned. This isn't delegation. This is assignments because you're in charge. So let's be careful with our rhetoric. But yeah,
where are the daily press conferences? Where's the mainstream media in front of his parents' house? Where is his parent? I have the shooter's phone number. I keep calling their house to try to talk to the dad or the mom. Go straight to voicemail.
Well,
it doesn't matter. But there's no urgency here.
I can understand why mom and dad don't want to talk, and the reporting is that they're being cooperative. I'm not, I don't want to get into any logical, jumps of blaming mom and dad here, but it's just the questions that you sort of get fractional answers in a hearing like yesterday, and then you have to wait another couple months and you get some more fractional answers, and you never get to any substantive, like real world, reasonable person explanations for what occurred, and that's the frustration.
We may never have a motive, and there's no one to prosecute because he's dead. The shooter's dead.
Well, that doesn't necessarily mean there's no one to prosecute, but we have to have an understanding of what happened. I mean, I assume there are a lot of things that nobody knows. And the problem is when people don't know things and they think you're stonewalling, enter the conspiracy theorists. And then it makes the situation even more muddled. That was our conversation with Tom Baker, FBI, last week, who was the point person for the FBI in the Reagan failed attempted assassination attempt. The reason there's not conspiracy theories around the Reagan assassination attempt is because the FBI was forthright. They gathered information. They got an understanding of what happened. They secured all of John Hinckley's possessions and so on and so forth. They were Johnny on the spot, and then they brought the public along as they gained confidence in their understanding of what happened. And that's what doesn't happen today. And that's the problem. And somebody needs to communicate that, by the way, directly to Wray. I don't know, maybe you have Thomas Baker there, but somebody needs to communicate that directly to Wray, as well as these other agencies, because this isn't the only one.
And now President Trump can no longer have outdoor rallies.
Well, he's chosen not to, and I guess I understand it. But the whole like Secret Service recommending you don't do outdoor rallies. How about we recommend that you do your fracking job, and then we wouldn't have to have this conversation. The basics, as Tim McCarthy said, the basics that were not done in Butler, Pennsylvania. Trump shouldn't have to change his campaigning style or events. The Secret Service just has to do their job. James in Naples, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. I think in pure Washington sense, we need a blue ribbon committee to get to the answers here. And I would suggest that Hayden, Mueller, and Comey lead that investigation.
Yeah, to ensure that we never get the truth. Yeah, thanks for the call. Let me guess. Putin did it in conjunction with Trump. Yeah. Chris, North Aurora.
Yeah, hi guys. I'm surprised nobody's brought up. Right in front of Trump, there was the camera and the microphone. There was a couple of guys, a gun expert and a sound expert. They analyzed the shots. They analyzed that 3 shots were fired at 400 feet. And then right after, another 3 shots were fired at 400 feet. And then right after, 2 shots were shot at 800 feet, and 1 shot was shot at 12 to 1,400 feet. And the way they did that was from the sound of the gun and then the muzzle of the gun, they could analyze the speed. They put it in an algebra formula, and that distance. And they verified the distance from the stage where the microphone was to where the shooter was, and that was 400 feet.
So this is
this is all. I feel like they're pulling the wool over America's eyes.
So I mean, this is the second shooter theory.
It could be. I don't know, John. I mean, but
I'm Dan, by the way. I'm Dan.
Nice to meet you. Sorry, Dan. I apologize, Dan.
That's right.
It's okay, Kim.
But it seems odd. The whole thing seems odd.
I don't believe there was 2 shooters. And Cheadle, when she was testifying, she did eventually say, no, there was 1 shooter. But I don't trust her either.
Well, I mean, she didn't even visit the site.
No, I know. She wanted to be in Aspen for that makers conference.
Yeah, no, I don't trust her either. But I mean, you have to have right. So you have to have evidence of this. I've seen some of the theories online, but this is I go back again to repeat. This is the problem when you don't gather an understanding. When you travel without a destination, Cottawampel style.
Oh, there you go. There's my word.
When you don't gather an understanding of what occurred and then relay it, subject it to scrutiny, people may have questions about the official story. Good. Answer them. If you don't do that, then everybody's going to be, and I understand there's some experts and so on and so forth, and people can take bits and pieces of information that's available in the public domain and come up with a theory about what may or may not have happened. And that's all fair game. But it'd be so much better if we had trust in agencies that have these responsibilities and they show the respect they should have for the American people by doing their job, presenting their case, holding their case up for scrutiny, answering questions about it. And you're never going to satisfy everybody, but it would be much more like how we understand what happened when the attempt on Reagan's life was made, as opposed to what it seems like we're tracking for here. So, maybe they'll improve their performance. I'm always open to people improving their performance, but I wasn't terribly impressed with Ray yesterday. And obviously, Cheadle's testimony on Monday was catastrophic. I mean, she might as well be an Ivy League president. Jim in LaGrange.
Hey, Dan. Hey, Amy. So I'm not a big conspiracy theorist fan, but if there's enough gross mismanagement and negligence on an ongoing basis, this is what's going to happen. It's tantamount to having the barn door be open, and eventually the horse is just going to run out. It's just inevitable. Thanks.
Yeah. That's my default position too. It's a kakistocracy that we live in. We are ruled by our lessers, the less competent.
Got a text message, Dan and Amy. I'm still upset with Ray, and he never answered how many FBI agents were present on J6.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know if any were there. Has no idea.
Wait, what did you say? I'm sorry. Can you speak up? What?
Chris, is there anybody you could talk to at the FBI who could help you gather this information? But that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's a perfect example. Here's another one.
Yes.
This was unrelated, but this is another committee hearing. Matt Gaetz.
Over Botox.
No, it wasn't about
Botox.
It wasn't
No,
about
I know.
Botox.
I was just making a comment, being catty about his personal appearance. Okay.
Oh, he Botoxes?
Oh, you didn't see him at the convention?
No.
I'll pull up a picture for you.
I don't know if I recognize
Stop it. You won't recognize him.
So Gaetz is talking to the director of the Federal Bureau of Prisons. Okay.
Okay.
And in part, there's like, what are the standards here when it comes to who can be interviewed for podcasts? Federal inmates can be interviewed for podcasts. And he gives the example, like John Gotti could do interviews. Michael Avenatti could do interviews. But you wouldn't let me come and interview Peter Navarro because he was too notorious for my podcast, my official podcast, as part of my communications in my district. So this is how it started. The Federal Bureau of Prisons director, her name is Colette Peters. And so then he goes on to say, I want to, myself, the chairman of the committee, others want to go visit Steve Bannon at Danbury Prison, Connecticut. Right. And can you confirm to us here in this public hearing that you'll make sure that happens, that we have access to Steve Bannon, we want to visit him? Listen to this exchange, because it's so telling about just about every federal agency, frankly, government at a lot of levels. You'd get the same treatment by state government in Illinois. But this is the fundamental problem, and it's the dynamic you just see repeated over and over and over again. And Gaetz gets to an important point at the end of this exchange.
We want to go to Danbury Prison in Connecticut, and we want to go there to see Mr. Bannon. So is there going to be any problem in the next few weeks approving a visit with the chairman of this committee to go to Danbury?
As the congressman and I talked about during a one-on-one conversation yesterday, and as I will say to the committee, we will be happy to review that request and make that accommodation as you submit that request to the Office of Legislative Affairs.
Okay, I appreciate the commitment to review it, but are you committing to approve it?
Congressman, those approvals actually happen through the Office of Legislative Affairs. I can't foresee an issue with the approval of that. But
this is a legislative affair. You're testifying before your oversight subcommittee. So why don't you just tell us that you'll approve our trip to go to Danbury?
That approval rests with the department. We have a long-standing process of reviewing.
The department. There's not some other person. You're the head of the department. Why can't you just say we can go?
We have a long-standing process of those requests being reviewed by the department, and I will encourage my team to work closely with the department in reviewing that request.
That is just a total non-answer. I mean, this is what we get, Mr. Chairman. This is what we get. Arbitrary standards, non-answers, and frankly, if we continue to fund it and tolerate, it's all we're going to get.
That last part. If you continue to fund it, then that's all you're going to get. Look, my team, the department, it's always these amorphous. It's the amorphous. Look, I'm going to put that request through the process at the department. The department does these things. What is the department? Is the department a person? You're the head of the department. The legislative affairs, section within the agency. You're their boss. Can you approve 2 congressmen who have oversight responsibilities for the Federal Bureau of Prisons, who control the purse strings, in part, for the Federal Bureau? Can you approve us coming to see an inmate there? Well, we got a department. We got process. The department has processes. I'm going to have to defer to the department, but I'll get you in touch with the department's team. I mean, it's all this newspeak, and I do mean that in the Orwellian sense, you get from all of these agencies. They're completely unaccountable to the people who fund them. And I'm not even talking about us. I'm talking about our elected representatives in this Republican form of government. It's amazing to me. They just stare right at people who control their destiny. And they say, go pound sand. We're going to do it our way, and we may or may not accommodate you. You'll find out when we decide we feel like telling you.
Well, it depends on the inmate they want to talk to, too.
It's just such a great illustration of this ruling class mentality. You want to know what the ruling class is when people want to talk about the ruling class? It's people like that Colette Peters at Bureau of Prisons. Those exchanges, they should be internalized. This is what we're talking about when we talk about a ruling class, not duly elected representatives and their temporary appointees.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli, a family-owned restaurant, a Chicago family favorite for over 40 years. Why? Because they're known for sub sandwiches the size of your forearm. No joke. Their 6-inch sub has more meat and cheese in it than any foot long in an Irish neighborhood. These sandwiches are iconic, famous for their homemade Italian beef, meatballs, burgers, and of course, delicious Italian subs loaded with mortadella, cabagol, salami, provolone, and their own secret sauce called Love Potion No. 9. This vinegar and oil dressing is famous on its own. Both Augustino's locations boast walls covered in authentic rock and roll memorabilia and artifacts, all celebrating their love for good old-fashioned rock and roll. Augie's is a feast for your eyes and your stomach. Dine in or carry out. Bring the family or the team. Plus, Augie's caters corporate meetings, parties, and celebrations. Don't make it yourself. Make it happen with Augustino's. Go to Augustinos.com for locations and menus. That's Augustinos.com.
AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:36, we'll talk, what else? POTUS Politics with John Solomon, justthenews.com, 6:36.
J.B. Pritzker, all smiles when asked if he's going to be Kamala's running mate. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
6:32, 63 degrees, mostly clear skies at the moment. President Biden says it's time to pass the torch to a new generation. Biden made the comment yesterday in his first televised address to the nation since deciding to drop out of the presidential race.
My fellow Americans, it's been the privilege of my life to serve this nation for over 50 years.
He said now is the time for fresh, younger voices and endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris. Harris holding a campaign event in Indianapolis on Wednesday.
There was a very loud and warm reception from this crowd of historically black sorority members of the Zeta Phi Beta, their national convention. Harris spoke for just about 15 minutes. She started out praising President Joe Biden for the work he's done the last 3 years, but then she shifted to going after former President Trump. This speech very much in line with their campaign strategy that was laid out today in a new memo detailing multiple paths to victory that the campaign sees for Vice President Harris, including capitalizing on the success that Democrats saw in the midterms by focusing on issues like abortion.
Fox's Garrett Tenney. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will meet today with President Biden and Vice President Harris, although at separate times. Following his address to a joint meeting of Congress yesterday, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre saying her failure to attend yesterday's address does not represent animus toward Israel.
The Vice President has been unwavering in her commitment to security of Israel.
Several other Democrats skipped the speech on Friday. The Prime Minister is scheduled to meet with Donald Trump. The man who was injured in the deadly assassination attempt on Donald Trump has been released from the hospital. David Dutch has recovered from his injuries and was discharged. The FBI says it still doesn't have a motive for the gunman in the attempted assassination of the former president. FBI Director Christopher Wray.
I think it's fair to say that we do not yet have a clear picture of his motive.
The FBI investigating the shooting as a potential act of domestic terrorism, saying the shooter had explosives and flew a drone. 3 children are recovering following a fire at a CHA building in the city's Douglas neighborhood yesterday afternoon. Charges pending following a shooting and standoff in Schaumburg in the 800 block of South Braintree yesterday.
They got like the Army vehicle out there with 6 or 8 guys in each vehicle.
The confrontation resulted in an employee of the tree trimming company being shot. An investigation is underway following a break-in at the administrative offices of Cook County State's Attorney Kim Fox in the Cook County Criminal Courts building. Sheriff's Office has released security footage of a person they're calling a person of interest. And attorneys for former AT&T Illinois president accused of trying to bribe ex-Illinois House Speaker Democrat Michael Madigan are calling for some charges against him to be dismissed because the prosecution's case had been undermined, they believe, by a recent U.S. Supreme Court ruling walking back a federal bribery statute. Cubs lost to the Brewers 3-2. White Sox a 10-2 loss to the Rangers in Texas. The news, a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combining heritage and innovation in every cup. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. Online at papanicholas.com. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
If you claim to stand for unity,
An already unprecedented election season
you need to do more than just use the word.
just got even more complicated.
I'm never going to drop out, and now I'm dropping out.
As Kamala Harris prepares to become the Democratic nominee.
I'd vote for Kamala.
There's an incredible bench in the Democratic Party.
29 days until they have to make a decision on a nominee.
What happens next happens here
Kamala Harris, not a fan.
on your election station.
I don't think Kamala has a chance to beat Trump.
AM 560. The answer.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
When your home or business has an insurance claim, the next step is very important. The claim process with insurance can be tedious, hard to understand, and difficult to navigate. You need someone working for you. You need a licensed claim adjuster. Why? The insurance company will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them, not you.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company. If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Crosscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Crosscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at CrosscomInc.com. That's CrosscomInc.com. Crosscom, building trust for over 20 years.
I don't need to tell you how important a good night's sleep is, but like most people, sometimes you can't fall asleep or you wake up during the night. That's why I want to tell you about Z-Factor. Z-Factor is a 100% drug-free way to help you fall asleep faster, sleep longer, and sleep better. Z-Factor is from the makers of Relief Factor. Now, Z-Factor uses a formula of 4 all-natural ingredients to calm your mind and relax your body so you ease into sleep faster and sleep through the night. Just ask Maureen G. She said, quote, "This product broke a 15-year nightly cycle of lying in bed for hours before falling asleep," unquote. Or Bernard K., who said, "It cut down significantly the amount of times I wake up." Rediscover the joy of a great night's sleep, just like Barbara, who called it the best sleep I ever had. Try Z-Factor from Relief Factor and save 46% on your first order. Just go to ReliefFactor.com to order, ReliefFactor.com, or call 800-4-RELIEF. That's 800-4-RELIEF for Z-Factor.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
6:39. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is service of Allstate. Wish you could save on home insurance? With Allstate, you could easily save and get quality protection. It's a win-win. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate. Kennedy inbound 48 right now. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Ike in, tough through the avenues, and delays on the Stevenson in. Brake lights, Harlem to Kedzie, 45 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Mostly sunny and pleasant, less humid, high 79, clear and 60 overnight. Right now, partly cloudy and 63. Your next news update at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
This hourly segment is sponsored by TJ Stearns Financial Planning. Certified financial planner Tim Stearns holds a weekly discussion of the financial challenges to secure retirement. Listen Saturday at noon for Protect and Grow with Tim Stearns.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. If you want a preview of what will be dominating your web browsing as well as your television sets over the next 100 days, all you have to do is go to Pennsylvania and McCormick's ad against Bob Casey in that Senate race there. McCormick taking another shot after losing to Oz in the primary 2 years ago, remember? And then Oz losing to Fetterman. Anyway, re-upping against Bob Casey in a state that Trump is leading right now, both against Biden and Kamala. And this ad that ties Casey to Kamala. You're going to be seeing this in Senate races, and, you know, versions of this will be right-fitted for use against other candidates at the congressional level. And obviously, Trump is going to be reciting these lines as he did to some extent in Charlotte, North Carolina, against Kamala himself.
Kamala Harris is inspiring and very capable. The more people get to know her, they're going to be particularly impressed by her ability.
The nonpartisan GovTrack has rated you as the most liberal senator.
I am prepared to get rid of the filibuster to pass a Green New Deal. There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
Would you ban offshore drilling?
Yes.
What is the solution for voters in the fossil fuel industry?
Giving the workers an ability to transition. We're not going to treat people who are undocumented and cross the border as criminals. That's correct.
Raise your hand if you think it should be a civil offense rather than a crime to cross the border without documentation.
Abolish ICE.
Yeah.
Is that
Civil.
a position you agree with?
And we need to probably think about starting from scratch.
Outdated, it is wrong-headed thinking to think that the only way you're going to get communities to be safe is to put more police officers on the street.
Would you support changing the dietary guidelines?
Yes.
The food pyramid. What would people
Yes.
to reduce red meat specifically?
Yes.
People who are convicted in prison, like the Boston Marathon bomber, on death row, people who are convicted of sexual assault, they should be able to vote?
I think we should have that conversation. We have to have a buyback program, and I support a mandatory buyback program.
So for people out there who like their insurance, they don't get to keep it?
Let's eliminate all of that. Let's move on. I am opposed to any policy that would deny any human being public health, period.
The more people get to know her, they're going to be particularly impressed by her ability.
That was Bob Casey singing the praise of Kamala against the backdrop of her record. The only thing that may be more damaging to Kamala's chances than her partnership with Biden for the last 4 years is her 2020 run for president, where she said all of those things. Not to mention her record as a senator, where she was rated by GovTrack, as you heard, the most leftist senator in the U.S. Senate, even left of Bernie Sanders. So defund police, defund ICE. Crossing the border illegally is just a civil offense, not a criminal one.
Murderers vote.
We got Boston bomber. We should have a conversation about him voting. I mean, all of these things. Speaking of Pennsylvania, Ban on fracking. That's not going to go over so well. Even Fetterman had the wits to change his position on that in the general 2 years ago, you remember. So it's very interesting that Chris LaCivita, who's Trump's campaign manager, tweeted out yesterday that word is that it's going to be Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, as her running mate. That would be interesting. For more on this and other matters, including the topic we were just discussing, which is the failed Trump assassination attempt and what we know, if anything more, after Christopher Wray's testimony yesterday, which is not really that much more. John Solomon joins us, award-winning investigative journalist, founder of Just the News, justthenews.com. John, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good to be joining you.
So what about, I guess let's tackle the running mate situation first, since she's on the clock for that. And you heard what I said about LaCivita tweeting out that word is that it's going to be Josh Shapiro. That makes sense, but Josh Shapiro is going to have a big job ahead of him trying to resuscitate Kamala in his home state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and also Josh Shapiro's positions are quite a bit more moderate than those of Kamala Harris. He's going to have to constantly explain why someone with his views would run with someone that on that laundry list of things you just properly laid out is Kamala Harris's long-term position. She's to the left of Biden. She's to the left of Bernie Sanders, according to the ratings. And she's also the person that's really the ignition point for the inflation that we've all suffered through the last 3.5 years. Why do I say that? The first of her 33 tie-breaking votes in the Senate was to approve the Biden stimulus plan, the very Biden stimulus plan that Larry Summers, the former Obama and Clinton Treasury Secretary, warned would create inflation, and it did. And Kamala Harris got that passed by going to the Senate as the vice president and casting the tie-breaking vote. She's going to own inflation. She's going to own immigration. She's going to be owning not only the Biden record, but all of the things that she said she stood for back in 2020 when she was running to the left of Biden trying to win the presidential nomination. Going to be very difficult for a Shapiro or maybe a Gretchen Whitmer, another person probably on the short list, to have to defend that record because it's beyond where their voters are in their home states.
Well, and even going back to her time as Attorney General and when she was running in 2020 and she's, participating in the fund that was bailing out Black Lives Matter protesters who had committed acts of violence in big cities in the summer of 2020. From that role, since we're being treated to she's a prosecutor and she's going to prosecute the case against Trump because she's a prosecutor, she's got a keen legal mind and all that business. But if she has the record of a Kim Foxx, and Kim Foxx could get elected in Cook County, but not too many other places.
Yeah, listen, we just did a really important story, and you take a look at the last time she actually ran something herself, and that was when she was a district attorney in San Francisco and then the attorney general for California, the top law enforcement officials in those two communities. In both instances, Kamala Harris's office was routinely dogged by scandal. In the California Attorney General's office, there was a big sexual harassment scandal involving her deputy. Got to be very expensive to the taxpayers, had to pay a big settlement. And judges and media and defense lawyers all called out her office for failing to deal with misconduct, something very serious for a prosecutor. Your job is to uphold the law. In California and in San Francisco, very significant prosecutorial or government misconduct that occurred, and the judges were calling her and her office out for failing to deal with it properly. That is a sign, that is a record of leadership that I think a lot of people will become concerned about once they learn about it. We had some important reporting on it going through the court files earlier this week. She doesn't have a record of success. She has a lot of scandal, a lot of far-left rhetoric, and it's going to be tough for her to own that in a 4-month period. It's going to be much easier to define her as in negative circumstances than it's going to be able herself to improve her image. And one of the things that dogs are also, like Joe Biden, she's not a very good public speaker. She's very halting. She has awkward giggles. She sometimes trails off or repeats words or phrases over and over again, losing her train of thought. So, a smooth-talking politician might be able to smooth some of these things over, but she's not particularly strong in her rhetorical capabilities.
Didn't crime increase, though, when she was a prosecutor and the DA in California?
there was the beginning of what's been the long trend of crime surges in California, but just the inability to manage things like a lab technician apparently stole some evidence from a locker. It's required under the law. Even a first-year law student knows this, that you have to disclose that to the defense. In all the cases where that lab technician did that, her office didn't. They tried to fight doing it and ultimately got criticized strongly by federal judges and other judges in that district. Those sort of things, the basics of a job, she hasn't even been able to fulfill that. We know what she did on the border, or what she didn't do on the border, I guess we should say, the lack of action there. I think that image is going to be easy to set for the American public, and it's going to be hard for her to combat it because she's just simply not a great fast thinker on her feet or a good speech giver.
So, justthenews.com, your site, was reporting about problems at Secret Service long before the failure in Butler, Pennsylvania, and one wonders, outside of Cheadle resigning, are we going to see real reform at Secret Service? Whatever reforms are called for, are we going to see a real accounting of the Secret Service's failure on that day from the FBI? Christopher Wray didn't inspire a ton of confidence yesterday.
Yeah, listen, Chris Wray's job is just to solve the crime. Of course, the suspect's already dead, so it's going to be an easy job for him. He'll do the basics. But the real question is, how did this agency, which was the premier security agency in the world, I mean, other countries model their presidential protection details against the skill sets of the Secret Service. How did it fall so far from its core mission? And I think some of it is leadership, some of it is a lack of focus, some of it is not deploying the resources to the core mission, but accepting other responsibilities and other jobs, or volunteering for other responsibilities and jobs that are not its core capability, stretching the service. And these warning signs began in 2014 and 2015 when then House Oversight Committee Chairman Jason Chaffetz did a remarkable investigation and warned about all the things that we're now seeing as symptoms of a Secret Service in distress. They didn't resource events properly. They were stretched too thin. They had a morale problem. They were focused on issues other than presidential security. They didn't coordinate well with local law enforcement. All of those things, which were flagged in an official congressional report that made 10 or 12 important recommendations, are at the heart of the failures we're beginning to understand occurred in Butler on July 13th. One of the most amazing things, I talked to one of the chief investigators for that investigation a decade ago, Tristan Levitt, who told us recently not a single one of the recommendations Congress made to fix those things were really ever implemented by the Secret Service. It simply kept on its path of drifting away from its core competency, and I think that's why Donald Trump's life was so recklessly put in danger on July 13th. We're going to learn a lot more. I don't think we know everything yet. I think there's more significant revelations coming in the next few days about what failed. Now, I'm going to mention one other thing. Last year, we obtained security footage of the morning of January 6th when Kamala Harris and the vice president-elect is whisked over to the Democratic National Committee. And what you can see in that video is that the Secret Service brought her within 10 yards of an active bomb, those bombs that were planted at the DNC and RNC, because they hadn't swept the property before bringing their protective subject into that property. One of the most extraordinary jaw-dropping lapses that we had seen before July 13th, nothing happened. No, there was no consequence.
Right.
The Secret Service didn't. I think that's a problem. There's a lack of accountability, so they've kept on this downward drift.
Well, that's a good point. We were just talking about this sort of this Orwellian treatment you get from these agencies. That when Wray took over for Comey, we got here's 5 or 7 or 10 reforms I'm going to institute. Did he ever institute them? What was the impact? No one knows. No one even asks. And just these agencies are imperious because the threat of, we control the purse strings isn't much of a threat when you're never willing to pull the purse strings. And this is what we see happening over and over again.
Yeah, that's really a great point. I mean, Congress does these investigations, but the pain, the consequence, the accountability never really gets meted out. It always gets lost in the power of the purse string or the power of forcibly removing someone from their job because they're not performing well. Congress just hasn't had the courage to do it. They couldn't vote to defund Mayorkas' salary. They couldn't do Obviously, they sent some impeachment articles, but that was a safe vote because the Senate was never going to do it. So they've just not, the Republicans, when they're in control, or Democrats, when they're in control as well, simply have allowed this culture of malaise and declining excellence to fester at every single agency. You go through the last year, what we've learned about agencies, from the FDIC to the FBI, the Secret Service to the Homeland Security Department. There is a culture of mediocrity and failure and almost no consequence for it.
Yeah. One thing I just want to get your take on before we let you go is the radio transmissions on January 13th, the day of the failed assassination attempt. I mean, there's no press on for those. I don't understand why, because if you get the radio chatter among Secret Service and you start to understand what people saw, when they saw it, the decisions they made in response to it, then you start to get more clarity about what happened on that day. And nobody's volunteering that they have them, that they're going to get transcripts of them, that it's going to be made public. Do you have any insight on that?
So that was where James Comer was headed. I think there are two very important pieces of evidence that I think will give us enormous clarity as to how these failures began. The first is the security planning documents. They canvassed the site on July 8th, 5 days before. What was the assessment of the site? Where the building that was used as a shooter's nest? Was it identified as a threat, or was it considered not a big problem? Those are big issues. Then the radio transmissions. Both of those things, James Comer, the Oversight Committee chairman, was in the process of getting, but now Mike Johnson has switched gears a little bit. He's moved to a non-partisan or bipartisan task force, both Democrats and Republicans. That's going to restart some of the investigation. That committee is going to have to redo the work James Comer's already done and then make those requests. That's going to slow down the process a little bit, but you are absolutely right. The radio transmissions and the original security plans were there. And I think a third element, because we're hearing it exists, are requests for additional resources that occurred after the security plan was laid, but before the morning of the 13th. Those may have been turned down. That would be a third body of evidence. We're going to get it, but it's going to take longer because this new committee that was approved last night unanimously by the House, it's got to get started. It's going to take some time for that to get started. Congress tends to be slow on these things.
Indeed. John Solomon, award-winning investigative journalist, founder of Just the News, justthenews.com. John, thank you as always.
Yeah, great to be with you guys.
Thank you so much. And he joined us on our Turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
For over 10 years, the award-winning KWCC Construction has been building a better future, locally and throughout the Midwest, constructing with detailed planning and execution, completing projects safely, timely, and with transparency. If you've ever visited the Wilder Park Promenade along the Riverwalk in Aurora, or driven past the recently revitalized Copley Hospital, you're looking at the quality construction of KWCC. Maybe you've seen the adaptive reuse of 80 South River Street in downtown Aurora, which now includes residences and businesses that have revitalized the area. No matter the project, KWCC Construction offers services from indoors to outdoors, conception to completion. In fact, KWCC was recognized as 2022's Best Project in Landscape and Urban Development. Highly recommended. A general contracting company you can count on. That's KWCC. To request a proposal for your project, visit kwccinc.com. That's kwccinc.com.
IT support, how can we help?
Hey there, we have a huge problem. Our network crashed and our entire assembly line is down. We're losing thousands of dollars an hour. Can you help?
Please hold.
What are they saying?
They put me on hold.
We gotta get this line back running now.
IT support, who are you holding for, please?
Oh, hi. I need help. My network is down. I've been on hold for over...
Sorry, wrong call. Please hold again.
Sound familiar? Don't let a network problem cost your business thousands of dollars. Turnkey is the champion of small businesses. For the price of a monthly car payment, Turnkey will fully protect your network with the most secure, up-to-date cyber protection, unlimited backup, unlimited 24/7 help desk support, and real-time threat hunting. All by world-class technicians who really care about helping people. Protect your small business today. Visit turnkey.pro today.
AM 560, The Answer.
right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:07, we'll talk to Noah Rothman about Bibi's address to the joint session of Congress yesterday. That's 7:07.
Mostly sunny today, a high of 79 degrees at 7 a.m. WIND Chicago.
It was a terrible speech. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. After former President Trump just told Fox about President Biden's Oval Office address last night.
Terrible delivery. He looked like he was having problems.
The president said days after dropping out of the 2024 race.
I revere this office, but I love my country more.
Saying he thinks the job he's done merits a second term, but
there's also a time and a place for new voices, fresh voices. Yes, younger voices.
And he called Vice President Harris tough and capable. She's already the new presumptive Democratic nominee and just this morning released her first campaign video.
There are some people who think we should be a country of chaos, of fear, of hate. But us, we choose something different. We choose freedom.
Now back to the former president. He just called his new November opponent radical, far left, and not very smart.
He's coming to see me. I get a kick out of one thing. They say, sir, be nice. You just got hit with a bullet. Maybe he's changed. Be nice. And I'd love to be nice, but I'm dealing against real garbage.
Tomorrow, he'll meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, discussing the war against Hamas.
He's coming to see me. I want him to finish up and get it done quickly.
President Biden and Vice President Harris will meet with Netanyahu today, the day after he addressed Congress.
For the forces of civilization to triumph, America and Israel must stand together.
Though dozens of Democratic lawmakers boycotted the speech, another held up a sign calling Netanyahu a war criminal. Netanyahu called thousands of protesters outside Iran's useful idiots.
Palestine will be free!
Some of those demonstrators took American flags down and burned them near the Capitol, raising Palestinian flags to fly in their place. They were later taken down, U.S. flags put back up as some Republican lawmakers recited the Pledge of Allegiance. America's listening to Fox News.
63 degrees, sunshine at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Charges are pending following a shooting and standoff in Schaumburg. It happened yesterday in the 800 block of South Braintree after a noise dispute between a resident and a contracted tree trimmer resulted in shots fired.
They got like the Army vehicle out there with 6 or 8 guys in each vehicle.
The confrontation resulted in the employee of the tree trimming company being shot.
And this is probably the first time I've experienced anything like this in a neighborhood. We're not usually, it's pretty much the same scenario. It's a quiet neighborhood, don't have too many issues.
The suspect gunman barricaded himself inside the home for hours until surrendering late last night. A Dalton trustee is looking to replace embattled incumbent Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Trustee Jason House announcing he's running for mayor next year. In a series of hearings on Illinois mass transit, public safety was in the spotlight Wednesday. CTA President Dorval Carter Jr. was pressed by Republicans about what his agency is doing about public safety for riders.
The truth of the matter is that crime is down on CTA. I think it's also important to remember that we're carrying 1 million people a day. In that, you are going to find issues that ultimately are unacceptable.
The Regional Transportation Authority, which oversees budgets for the CTA Metra and PACE, currently is facing a $730 million budget shortfall in 2026. A previously issued recall for cucumbers sold at Walmart stores has been expanded to include even more produce sold at Aldi, Walmart, Kroger, and more grocery stores across multiple states, including the state of Illinois. Earlier this month, Ohio-based company Weir's Farms voluntarily recalled some whole and bagged salad cucumbers. The voluntary recall now impacts green beans, peppers, jalapenos, zucchini, yellow squash, all that could be contaminated. Cubs lost to the Brew Crew 3-2, while the White Sox are on a 10-game losing streak following a 10-2 loss to the Rangers. The news, a service of quick delivery service, ground delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
News happens fast.
The former president was whisked away after gunshots rang out at his rally north of Pittsburgh.
President Biden wrote in a letter posted on social media. It says it is in the best interest of his party and the country to stand down.
When news breaks.
Best suited to assume the position of Vice President of the United States is Senator J.D. Vance.
It happens here.
I proudly accept your nomination for President of the United States.
This is your breaking news and election station. AM 560, The Answer.
When you're in chronic pain, you're miserable to be around, and so are the people who have to watch you suffer. So stop it. Do something about it. Now's the time to be proactive and take care of yourself. And there's another solution other than surgery or drugs. Call QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics, they have a cutting-edge treatment that revitalizes your joints with your body's own healing process. So if you have arthritis or if you're in pain in your knees, hips, shoulder, back due to an injury, you need to call QC Kinetics today for a free consultation and get your life and mobility back. You know, I've been to one of their clinics. I met a few of their customers. They were smiling from ear to ear, so happy to have their mobility back, pain-free, without surgery. They have locations all across the Chicagoland area, including new locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. Call for a free consultation, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955, 312-809-5955.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Small business owners, we know finishing your to-do list can feel like rowing upstream, but it's a river, a whitewater river, and the only paddles you have are pool noodles. Then when a new to-do pops up, you're like, nope, I'm already rowing upstream with these pool noodle paddles. At Progressive, we don't want to make your day any harder. That's why we make it easy to get personalized discounts with a commercial auto insurance quote online, so your to-do list is smooth sailing. See if you can save on commercial auto insurance in as little as 7 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverages and discounts not available in all states and subject to policy terms and underwriting.
Chicagoland. When was the last time you had an absolutely fantastic meal out? I mean a truly delicious, fine dining experience where you savored every bite? This is the kind of experience you can expect at Region Kitchen and Bar in Barrington, home of some of the finest quality regional American food in the northwestern suburbs. Chef David Perlick, who's an avid supporter of Tunnel to Towers and AM 560, is very passionate about pleasing palates with juicy USDA prime steak, flown in, fresh seafood, and an amazing array of house-made desserts. Also, craft cocktails that are said to be the best in the area. Region's atmosphere pairs well with the mouth-watering food. Picture a swanky yet relaxing environment with tufted velvet baths, Wisconsin birch accents, white leather, and super comfy dining chairs. Ready to enjoy? Carpe diem and go to regionrestaurant.com. Make your reservation or stop in just 2 miles west of downtown Barrington on Route 14. Region Kitchen and Bar, regionrestaurant.com.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, and this update is a service of Turnkey.pro. For less than the price of a monthly car payment, Turnkey will fully protect your network with up-to-date cyber protection, unlimited backup, unlimited 24/7 help desk support, and real-time threat hunting. Protect your small business today. Visit Turnkey.pro. Eden's tough sledding between Cicero and Montrose. 23 minutes in from Lake Cook Road. The Kennedy at 50 minutes, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. While the Ike right now is at 45 from 390 into the old post office. I-57 jam solid from 107th into the Ryan Merge. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Mostly sunny, less humid, terrific day. High today at 79, clear tonight, low 60. Mostly sunny, nice day tomorrow, and the high at 83. Sunny and pleasant Saturday, the high up to 88. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
63 and sunshine at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 7:30. And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is sponsored by Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman. Listen Saturday mornings at 8. Learn more at willsave.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Well, Bibi delivered the boom before Congress yesterday. That was quite a harangue he offered. And I got to tell you, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's just rare these days when you have somebody as well-educated and well-spoken speak with the kind of moral clarity that he did, especially knowing that a significant percentage of that audience, I don't know, like Rashida Tlaib holding up a sign that said war criminal, was against you. And you could obviously tell as this sort of took on a State of the Union speech type feel when people are applauding and some people are standing up and other people are not standing up and some people are applauding while they're sitting down and other people are not applauding while they're sitting down, depending on what the exact line was. But I thought Bibi framed it right. And remember, against the backdrop of what you're going to hear from him, if you didn't catch all of his remarks, the protesters outside who took down American flags, burned them, and raised Palestinian flags.
And hung Netanyahu in effigy, yes.
Who defaced statues and other artwork, who flooded the Watergate Hotel where the Israeli delegation was staying with maggots and crickets.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't think a lot of people know about that because mainstream media, that was too extreme for them to cover that.
Yeah, I want
too extreme.
I want to warn you. You may find this next fact a little too disturbing to contemplate, but this is who the new Bolsheviks are.
And they beat up Capitol Police. Did you see that? They dragged one officer through the square. I mean, it was total mayhem.
It's probably a good preview of what you'll see at the DNC in a month. But Bibi's framing of this, I'm talking about Israel versus Hamas and other Iranian-backed terrorist organizations.
We meet today at a crossroads of history. Our world is in upheaval. In the Middle East, Iran's axis of terror confronts America, Israel, and our Arab friends. This is not a clash of civilizations. It's a clash between barbarism and civilization. It's a clash between those who glorify death and those who sanctify life. For the forces of civilization to triumph, America and Israel must stand together. Because when we stand together, something very simple happens. We win, they lose.
And it purposely did not cut the applause there because I think it's important that people hear the extended applause and the nature of it to a lot of what Bibi had to say, because it is Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and these other hate-mongering Bolsheviks represent a small fraction of even the Democrat Party. Now, there's too many cowards on that side such that they're unwilling to stand up to them. But I mean, the support for what Bibi was saying, because it's so obviously true, was overwhelming. And it's overwhelmingly public. It's overwhelming publicly, too. But you wouldn't know that because you have a D.C. press corps that caters to the most extremist elements of the Democrat Socialist Party. Bibi then turned his attention a few minutes later in his remarks to those protesters we were talking about. Again, moral clarity and a great moment where he gave a little hat tip to a certain
I love this
congregation of frat boys.
Yet incredibly, many anti-Israel protesters, many choose to stand with evil. They stand with Hamas. They stand with rapists and murderers. They stand with people who came into the kibbutzim, into a home. The parents hid the children, the 2 babies, in the attic, in a secret attic. They murdered the families, the parents. They found the secret latch to the hidden attic, and then they murder the babies. These protesters stand with them. They should be ashamed of themselves. And I wish to salute the fraternity brothers at the University of North Carolina who protected the American flag against these anti-Israel protesters.
And then you actually had chants of USA break out in the halls of Congress. You don't get that very often. I assume Rashida Tlaib did not participate. With more on the protesters and, frankly, Ivy League presidents who he addressed as well.
Well, I have a message for these protesters. When the tyrants of Tehran, who hang gays from cranes and murder women for not covering their hair, are praising, promoting, and funding you, you have officially become Iran's useful idiots. Some of these protesters hold up signs proclaiming gays for Gaza. They might as well hold up signs saying chickens for KFC.
I don't know. It doesn't have the greatest comedic timing I've ever heard, but not bad.
But you know what? He's fearless, and he knew what he wanted to say, and he said it. God bless him.
And this to me was the sort of the signature line. So a little bit of a history lesson for the protesters, the pro-Hamas sympathizers, the model Hamas on college campuses, and apparently university presidents' offices. A little history lesson with a distinct message about how this is going to go.
They call Israel a colonialist state. Don't they know that the land of Israel is where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob prayed, where Isaiah and Jeremiah preached, and where David and Solomon ruled?
No, they don't know.
For nearly 4,000 years, the land of Israel has been the homeland of the Jewish people. It's always been our home. It will always be our home.
For more on this, or please to be in other political matters, please be joined by Noah Rothman, senior writer at National Review, author of The Rise of the New Puritans, Fighting Back Against Progressives' War on Fun. Noah, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Well, that was a rather aggressive speech from Bibi. I mean, I enjoyed it, but I tend to err on the more aggressive side, perhaps. So what about yourself?
I mean, I loved it, but it was a barn burner.
Yeah.
And there's a school of thought among Zionists, American Jews, and Israel supporters generally that prescribes caution when you engage in partisan politics in the United States, because Democrats win elections too. You know, not too long ago, within our lifetimes, the Republican Party was the more skeptical party towards Israel. Democratic Party, being the home of American Jewry, was far more accepting of the state and supportive of the state, in part because the Jewish state at the time had a far more left-leaning political orientation. No longer. But nevertheless, political coalitions change, and Democrats win elections too, and so it's just incumbent on you to just be cautious, prudent when engaging in something that could be seen as partisan, speech. And I am willing to accept that to an extent, because it should end at the point at which you feel like you are compelled to lie in order to justify and perpetuate this neutrality. And Bibi Netanyahu refused to lie. As you said, everything he said on that stage was searingly honest. The protesters are, according to U.S. intelligence offered by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, being materially funded by Iran. They have lined up with, as Bibi said, the tyrants of Tehran and have become their useful idiots. Correct. Undeniably correct. Iran has been accused of supporting these elements. The protesters are anti-American. They're literally burning American flags in the streets as Benjamin Netanyahu is addressing Congress. It is correct and appropriate to point this out. When he says Israel fights Hamas, and when Israel fights Hamas, we are fighting Iran, and when we are fighting Iran, we are not just protecting ourselves, we are protecting you. Undeniably correct. We are engaged in the same fight. Iran has attacked, to be its proxies, American service personnel and killed them. It has sent murder squads to the United States. It has held American servicemen and women hostage and compelled them to divulge sensitive information to them in captivity. Iran is an enemy of the United States. We are aligned in that goal. Absolutely correct. When he says things like the war would end tomorrow if Hamas surrenders, he's right. When he says the IDF has cleared out Rafah of Hamas terrorists without all the civilian casualties that the administration was so desperately worried about, he is right. When he says the IDF has gone above and beyond to the degree to which scholars of urban warfare, from Sir Andrew Roberts to the individual he mentioned yesterday, the War College, he's correct that the IDF goes above and beyond, even exceeding accepted standards of protecting civilian life in a war zone. He's correct when he says that if you give us the tools faster, meaning weapons, offensive weaponry, we will finish the job faster, which is to everybody's goal as far as I was told. He is correct. It's important to acknowledge these truths because if the Democratic Party's relationship with Israel is predicated on a lie, then it is an unsustainable relationship. Very important for us to face the truth of the fight that we're facing. And as you noted, despite the fact that about half the Democratic caucus in the House and the Senate boycotted this speech, those Democrats who didn't were receptive to this message and did participate in some of those many prolonged standing ovations. This is a consensus in this country. It is not a consensus in the press. And that's where the discrepancy comes from. The United States is a pro-Israel country. Media isn't. That is the big divide here in our politics.
Well, and it's interesting because speaking of that sort of soft boycott that went on, John Podhoretz tweeting, Democrats doing a soft boycott of Netanyahu's speech. Interesting to see what effects this might have, given the polling data that suggests that they might have a problem at the national level with the Jewish vote, which matters very much in the bellwether state of Pennsylvania. So, I mean, Bernie Sanders, that Bibi should be arrested, and I mentioned Rashida Tlaib holding up her war criminal sign, and the other histrionics from both members of Congress and their, supporters, allies of convenience outside, creating all of that havoc that we detailed and acting in such boorish and uncivilized and in often cases illegal ways. Does Podhoretz have a point here that it's not going to be a sea change, but you may be able to peel off enough Jewish votes on this particular issue and the behavior of the radical left that it could make a difference in a swing state like Pennsylvania?
It could. And far be it for me to argue with my former boss, John Podhoretz, who's usually right. It's hard for us to say from our vantage point, A, because Jews are a very small population in the United States, and it's kind of difficult to poll them. So when you get a subsample in a poll that's American Jews, it's a very small group with a high margin of error, and it's kind of hard to see where they go. And since 10/7, I personally have experienced anecdotes of left-leaning American Jews being mugged by reality. Mm-hmm. And kind of experiencing that and saying, wow, we have to reevaluate all our political priors. And then I see polling which suggests American Jews are still voting for Democrats to the tune of like 70-20, something like that. So it's hard for me to say definitively one way or the other. I don't have statistical evidence to back up any of the anecdotes that I personally experienced. That being said, I would find it hard to believe that American Jews haven't looked at the state of American political discourse and the violence and chaos in the streets and not seen something of an existential threat here. At least that's been my experience. And Democrats have a real problem on their hands. I don't think they acknowledge it, because one of the primary reasons why Joe Biden was elected, in my view, it was elected in 2020, is because Americans rejected the chaos that was in the streets in the Trump era. And we have since seen more chaos in the streets in the Biden era, which undermines this fundamental element of the Democratic Party's value proposition. And Kamala Harris has the opportunity here to remake herself. She really can. She's pretty well defined in a lot of Americans' eyes, but not on the margins. And the margins are all that's going to matter here. And if she decides, as Democrats have decided in the Biden era, that they can ignore this, or they can sort of court and cajole these menacing, freakish mobsters in the streets doing violence to the symbols of American authority and American patriotism, they're going to lose. There's no way around it. The American public is not going to reward this kind of conduct, and the fight is on them. They can't. The only way through it for Democrats is through it. They can't just simply pretend as though this isn't happening and hope it's going to go away. As you said, there's going to be violence in the streets in Chicago. We can see it coming. We've been seeing it coming from space. It's been a year now, and it's been obvious that this is what's going to happen. If the Democratic Party proceeds as though it is a tacit ally of this movement by refusing to confront it, even implicitly, it will redound to the Republican Party's benefit. An implicit repudiation of this movement, and it doesn't necessarily have to be direct, but an implicit repudiation, which I think would be presented. The opportunity here is most evident in the chance for Kamala Harris to pick somebody like Josh Shapiro, an observant Jew, kosher Jew, who is a pro-Israel Democrat, who is beloved in the must-win state of Pennsylvania, would do everything that Kamala Harris has to do to remake her image. She's got a big liberal problem, right? She can't run away from her record. She can't say, well, I no longer support gun confiscation and the elimination of the private health insurance industry and open borders. She can't do that. She can't repudiate her own career. She can do the Fetterman. John Fetterman is still as progressive as he always was. He never abandoned any of his preferences for the sweep progressive policy issues that he ran on in 2022. All he did was to fully embrace Israel and stand up to the mob.
Right.
And that has repaired his image with Pennsylvania voters. He was the least popular senator in America in the summer of 2023. He's now way above water in Pennsylvania, almost with the support of a majority of Pennsylvanians, including a third of Trump voters in that state. He didn't do anything. All he did was, I support Israel, and didn't back off. That's available to Kamala Harris if she has the courage to take that route.
What a sad commentary that is in our electorate. Not because of his support for Israel, but because of, the obvious, painful, maneuver that goes on, that has gone on with Fetterman.
Just stand up to him.
I know. Yeah, you're right. You're right. We'll see. That does take a little bit more chutzpah, if I could, than Kamala has shown to date. But we'll see. Noah Rothman, senior writer at National Review, author of The Rise of the New Puritans, Fighting Back Against Progressives' War on Fun. Thanks, Noah.
Thank you.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you ready to lose weight but not sure where to start? Let me tell you why I chose a PhD weight loss and nutrition. First, Dr. Ashley Lucas has her PhD in chronic disease and sports nutrition. The program is science-based. The PhD program starts with nutrition, but is so much more. They know that 90% of permanent change comes from the mind, and they work on eliminating the reason you gained this weight in the first place. There are no shortcuts, no pills, no scary injections, just solid science-based nutrition and behavior change. And finally, I lost 42 pounds and I haven't gained a pound back. PhD has a lifelong maintenance plan. If you are ready to lose weight for the last time, call 864-644-1900 to get started. Or online at myphdweightloss.com. Do what I did, what hundreds of my listeners have done. Call today. That's 865-644-1900.
In the 2 years since the Supreme Court overturned Roe, abortion has become big business in Illinois. While other states have restricted abortions, Illinois has become a destination for women looking for abortions. You can help to reverse that trend by supporting a great organization called Preborn. Research shows that when pregnant girls or young women see their babies on an ultrasound, they are far more likely to choose life for that child. And Preborn provides ultrasounds for mothers facing crisis pregnancy centers. The cost of an ultrasound is just $28. That's it. That's all it takes to save the life of a baby. Your gift of $28 can give a mother who is abortion-minded the chance to see the truth of the baby that's growing inside her. For a gift of $140, you can do that for 5 moms and their babies. And maybe you're someone who has the means to give a gift of $15,000. If so, that's what it costs to purchase an ultrasound machine that can save the lives of thousands of babies for years to come. Regardless of what you're able to give, don't wait. Your gift to Preborn can make an immediate impact. To give that gift, just go to 560theanswer.com/preborn. That's all one word. 560theanswer.com/preborn. Preborn. 560theanswer.com/preborn. Or call 833-850-BABY. That's 833-850-2229.
Building owners, property managers, and chief engineers. This one's for you.
Hello, this is Bruce Diedrich with Waukegan Roofing, your professional roofer. Everything starts on top. Your investment, your building, and everything in it is protected by your roof. It needs to be in good shape. That's where we can help. If it needs to be repaired or replaced, or you think it might, call us. Let's find out. Here's the number.
847-623-1625.
At Waukegan Roofing, our employees are union-trained roofing professionals with OSHA safety training certifications and have thorough knowledge and expertise regarding the various roofing systems we sell, maintain, and install. We know commercial roofing systems because that's all we do. Over 110 years of doing commercial roofs. Waukegan Roofing has the slogan,
Roofs you can rely on.
Because you can. Here's the number to call.
847-623-1625.
And get the info at WaukeganRoofing.com. WaukeganRoofing.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Is it a problem that my mom flew on a plane that had duct tape inside of it?
Depends where the duct tape was.
All right, I'll show you.
Yeah, if it's on the seat, that's one thing. If it's like holding the prop on, then that could be another.
What do you think?
That would make me a little jumpy. That's on the fuselage there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Okay.
Well,
I'll have her.
She flew safely. She's arrived.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's the
She's
important thing.
Taking a different airline home. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Censoring a Paralympic shooter at 7:37.
Now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
64 degrees at 7:32 this morning. All eyes on the markets. Global shares have dropped with Tokyo's benchmark losing more than 1,300 points. On Wednesday, U.S. stock indexes had their worst losses since 2022 after profit reports from Tesla and Alphabet helped suck momentum from Wall Street, and stocks are on the downside in pre-market trading today. Taiwan has seen flooding in low-lying areas after a typhoon made landfall. That typhoon has already killed 22 in the Philippines and now 3 in Taiwan. President Biden addressing the nation for the first time since his decision to drop out of the 2024 election.
It's not about me. It's about you, your families, your futures. It's about we, the people. We can never forget that. And I never have.
In that speech, he endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris to be the Democrat nominee for president. Former President Donald Trump spoke out for the first time since President Biden ended his campaign for re-election. Trump speaking at a rally in North Carolina.
And just like crooked Joe Biden, Kamala Harris is unfit to lead. She's unfit to lead. She'll destroy our country in a year.
Top Republicans are slamming the vice president for skipping Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's address to Congress. Texas Senator John Cornyn.
The Vice President of the United States has a responsibility to attend these speeches in the joint session in the House of Representatives. I have been here quite a while. I don't remember any occasion previously where the vice president hasn't shown up.
Netanyahu stressed in that speech the U.S. and Israel must stand together against Iran.
It's a clash between those who glorify death and those who sanctify life.
NORAD says it scrambled fighter jets Wednesday to intercept 2 Russian and 2 Chinese bombers off the coast of Alaska. Charges are pending Following a shooting and standoff in Schaumburg yesterday, police responded after a noise dispute between a resident and a contracted tree trimmer.
They got like the Army vehicle out there with 6 or 8 guys in each vehicle.
The confrontation resulting in an employee of the tree trimming company being shot. The gunman surrendered last night. A change of tune for Governor J.B. Pritzker after speculation arose Wednesday about being considered for the Democrat vice presidential nomination. While appearing on CNN's The Lead with Jake Tapper, Pritzker was asked if he has been asked to submit vetting paperwork to the vice president.
Well, I'm not going to talk about any private conversations that I've had, but as you know, I've been traveling the country advocating for Kamala Harris, for the Democratic ticket, and making sure that we're beating Donald Trump everywhere we can.
On Tuesday, Pritzker said no, he had not been asked to see that vetting paperwork. An investigation continues following a break-in at the administrative offices of Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx. State's attorney staff reporting to the Cook County Sheriff's Office several computers were taken from their offices at the main courthouse at the Cook County Criminal Courts building. Cubs lost to the Brew Crew 3-2. White Sox 10 in a row in the loss column, following a 10-2 loss to the Rangers. The news a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combining heritage and innovation in every cup. Hot air roasted locally, cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Online at papanicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This week on The Hill is the best way to get informed on everything going on with Congress. Hosted by Tony Perkins and the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
It's an issue we never thought we would have to actually address, but that moment has come to us now. Should Americans and Americans alone determine the outcome of American elections?
Stay informed and become a regular listener. This week on The Hill. Sundays at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Jason Zenger, owner of Zenger's Industrial Supply and host of the Making Shifts podcast, and a proud customer of Signature Bank. Through rapid growth, acquisitions of competitors, and taking over from the previous generation, Signature Bank was there with us every step of the way. Recently, the team introduced us to FinRails AP, their proprietary system for accounts payable automation. Not only did FinRails AP help us to reduce costs and create efficiencies, but it also helped minimize fraud risk. Now, our company can invest time into what we do best, supplying industrial products, metalworking tooling, contractor tools, and safety supplies to those who make, build, and create great things for our country.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $240. There are only 2 good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance cost you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
When you're in chronic pain, you're miserable to be around, and so are the people who have to watch you suffer. So stop it. Do something about it. Now's the time to be proactive and take care of yourself. And there's another solution other than surgery or drugs. Call QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics, they have a cutting-edge treatment that revitalizes your joints with your body's own healing process. So if you have arthritis or if you're in pain in your knees, hips, shoulder, back due to an injury, you need to call QC Kinetics today for a free consultation. consultation and get your life and mobility back. You know, I've been to one of their clinics. I met a few of their customers. They were smiling from ear to ear, so happy to have their mobility back, pain-free, without surgery. They have locations all across the Chicagoland area, including new locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. Call for a free consultation, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955, 312-809-5955.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
7:40 and a check of the roads now. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Valdecast Windows. For the discerning homeowner looking for high-quality and professional-level window replacement service, contact Valdecast Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella certified contractor. Visit Valdecast.com. Kennedy, 1 hour, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Solid traffic on the Ike inbound, 1 hour to the old post office, heavy through the avenues. Stevenson outbound, accident on the left-hand shoulder between Damon and Central. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast, mostly sunny and pleasant, less humid, high 79, clear and 60 overnight. Mostly sunny now and 65. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Scott Tucker Solutions and his show Retirement Decoded. Sunday mornings at 8. Learn more at scotttuckersolutions.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Sports and politics and sports and politics and sports and politics and intersection. Arrogance and ignorance, arrogance, ignorance, and arrogance and ignorance. Intersection.
In this installment of Sports and Politics, we got a couple. So it was introducing UCLA and USC and Washington to the Big Ten the other day.
That makes me sick. I still can't get over Reuters. I mean, not Reuters, Rutgers.
Oh, gosh. Name
She'll read anything
assassinator.
you put on the teleprompter.
Right. University of Hawaii. Is it? Why have they been included in the Big Ten?
It's just, it's not the Big Ten anymore, so let's not call it the Big Ten.
Well, it is the Big Ten. They still call it the Big Ten.
I know, but
it's the.
I can count. There's more than 10 teams.
Yeah, it's the Big 16 or so and counting, right? Something like that. Anyway, so the introduction. Deshaun Foster is the football coach at UCLA. He was a UCLA standout, All-American running back, and then he played for the Panthers for a while. You may remember if you follow the sport, which I somewhat do. Anyway, he shows up to address the assembled to, tell everybody how excited UCLA is to join the Big Ten, and he did that. But that's about all he was able to muster. Meet Deshaun Foster, UCLA football coach and proud graduate of the Biden-Harris School for Oratory Excellence.
Oh, no. Uh-oh. Do I want to hear this?
Well, sure.
I don't have a choice.
How you guys doing? I'm happy to be here. Glad to be a part of this great conference. Finally putting two great emblems together, UCLA and the Big Ten. We're a school that's won, 123 championships, so this fits us being right in this conference. Football-wise, we're just excited. I'm sure you guys don't know too much about UCLA, but our football program, but we're in LA.
Yeah, we've heard of UCLA. Thanks to
Are you the
Sean.
Bruins?
It's us and USC.
Yeah.
We
Oh, I feel bad. This is all. He's nervous. It's a big deal. Oh, stop.
I'm just basically excited.
Yeah,
really.
right.
it.
Yeah, that's good. Okay.
Any questions?
Oh, I'm sorry. Where is UCLA located again? It was literally UCLA. It's in Los Angeles. Artificial intelligence. That's AI. That stands for artificial intelligence. It was like literally listening to Kamala Harris.
Yeah, like Ukraine is a smaller country. Russia's a bigger country,
Right.
and Russia invaded Ukraine.
I was waiting for Deshaun Foster to pull out a Venn diagram and explain to us what the Pac-10 looks like now versus what the Big Ten looks like and where the overlap is. And I forgot Oregon joining too.
Oh, that's right, and a map of California. This is California.
UCLA. That rings a bell.
The Bruins?
Ooh.
Oh, I feel bad for him.
I mean,
are we making fun of him?
We are making fun of him, but
Okay.
but I mean, he's not. This is not his first time before media.
I know,
He was an All-American. He played in the NFL. He's dealt with media before. He was an assistant coach before he was the head coach. He's 45 years old. I mean, it's not.
I know, but like, why didn't he prepare anything for the press conference?
He
Just
did.
go out there and crush it. I'm just going to go out there.
I'm excited. Okay.
Was he scared by something in the audience? Like, did he see a ghost or what was happening?
Yeah, it's too bad you weren't there to ask that question.
Like, what's going on?
That's the only way that could have gone worse for him.
Oh.
All right, I just had to get that in, and since we've sort of become desensitized to people who can't speak in public.
Somebody texted, "This is the book report when you forgot to read the book."
Yeah, so I like the book. The book was good.
Book had pages.
Yeah,
the
pages
book
and a
was,
cover,
with brown,
as books are
black
wont
and white.
to have. All right, sports and politics is Installment number 2. I just had to get in. It's a little bit of trash talking too early in the Big Ten, since we're both Big Ten grads. We might as well pick on UCLA.
Yeah. Rightfully so. I'm going to go to the Iowa UCLA game, by the way. Maybe it's in November. I mean, I know that much. Yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully maybe you'll meet Deshaun, and he's apparently a stunning conversationalist, so you'll enjoy that. This more serious matter.
Yes.
McKenna Greer is going to represent Team USA at the Paralympic Games in Paris. The 20-year Washington State native was born with a muscular disorder called ameloplasia arthrogryposis, which is like a joint contraction, So she's in the air rifle event. She wanted to post about her athletic adventures, big deal, being on Team USA in the Paralympic Games. But Facebook and Instagram, Meta, has shadow banned her because air rifle.
Oh, it's a sport, not to mention an Olympic sport.
The company flagged the photo as out of line with its guidelines and informed her that non-followers wouldn't be able to view her account or content in Instagram search. Our recommendations, guidelines help to promote content that fosters a safe community on Instagram, and a Paralympian posting pictures of her competing in the air rifle event, that's unsafe. That could make somebody feel unsafe. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636-DA, turnkey.pro text line. Amidst all of the other chaos and controversy and machinations, political machinations, don't forget about our big tech friends. Don't forget about our big tech friends and their potential impact on the November 5th election.
Did they want that event banned from the Olympics? I mean, if they're banning her, promoting her sport that she's worked hard at, and she's good enough to compete in the Olympics.
McKenna Gear responding on Instagram, I've always feared the day the media would censor my sport and speech just because I use firearms. That day has finally come. And they blocked her ability to appeal the decision as well.
What?
Of course, they're not going to.
They're not going to reverse it.
Yeah, they're not going to reverse it. The Journal makes the point. It's not only Miss Gear, I should say Gear, Geer. So maybe you want to follow her on Instagram. First athlete subjected to the treatment. She's not the only one. Meta recently censored Team USA shotgun athlete Connor Prince. It also unpublished the Facebook page of the West Point rifle team at the U.S. Military Academy. According to the platform, it did so, quote, because Army West Point rifle goes against our community standards. What a statement that is. The rifle team at West Point goes against Meta's community standards. That may be one of the most descriptive sentences about our culture in America and the West generally today. The West Point rifle team goes against Meta's community standards. Let that sink in. 312-642-5600, turnkey.po answer line. And gear in particular is, it's such a cool thing because she's overcome a lot to be able to represent Team USA in this event. As she talked about the air rifle, her sport, life-changing because of its ability to unite both able-bodied and disabled athletes, young and old, foreign and domestic. She previously, by the way, won a bronze medal in the same event in the 2016 Games in Rio de Janeiro. And, of course,
Did they silence her back then? No.
Well, unclear. I don't know. But she makes the point, which is an obvious one, but it's worth making. Many of us, myself included, are either not paid or paid very little for our involvement in the sport. She's not Olivia Dunn. She's not the YouTube influencer. She's not going to get that kind of corporate support. Our social media presence can often be the avenue that pays for us to continue competing. The CEO of USA Shooting said she is concerned about the company's decision. By silencing an athlete's voice, you infringe not only on the freedom of expression, but subtly on the right to bear arms as well, as these platforms are critical for educating and sharing the legitimate and safe use of firearms in sport. So, it's not unconstitutional censorship, we understand, because it's a private organization, that being Meta. But talk about the real point here for me is the community standards and America's social mores. How out of line big tech is with the fundamental norms of a free society, a free American society, as enshrined in our documents, as advanced by Supreme Court jurisprudence, although not recently, thanks to the Murthy decision. Thank you, Amy Coney Barrett. But this, it's that where these oligarchs, these tech oligarchs in this case, not dissimilar to the oligarchs inside the government in D.C., are completely at odds with the social norms of a free people. And this is another good example of it, and a particularly unnerving one, given that we're talking about young athletes representing our country. Carl in Arlington Heights, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
So that means they have to purge anybody who is a shot putter because they toss those cannonballs all over the place just willy-nilly.
Yeah, right. Thanks for the call, Carl. Yeah, and shot. Yeah.
Something else. I don't know if you heard about this, but Jonathan Owens, he's married to Simone Biles. They're letting him leave for 7 days to go watch his wife in the Olympics.
They're letting him leave what?
Training camp from July 29th through August 3rd.
So?
It's expected back on the 4th. Well, I thought you can't. Training camp's non-negotiable. That you have to be at training camp. But Matt, you don't think that's a big deal?
No, and it's a team decision.
Okay.
And I don't know, to go support your wife in the Olympics for a week. What's your problem?
No, I'm just saying as a coach. I'm sorry, there's certain things that are non-negotiable.
So you would not let Simone Biles
no.
If you were
Are you
the football
kidding me?
coach, who does Simone?
Jonathan Owens. I think he's
who's he play for?
He plays for the Bears. I mean, he played for.
He doesn't play for the Bears.
Yeah, he does. He's playing for the Bears this year. He's
they signed
Chicago
him.
Bears safety. Yes.
Where was he before? Carolina.
I can't remember. One of those teams.
Yeah, one of those teams
that wears a uniform. We can Google it. But Eberflus said just because we respect the Olympics, he's going to go, and he's supporting the one he loves the most. And I think that's so cool that he gets to do that. We welcome that, and it's going to be awesome. Go Team USA.
No, he's also played all over the place. I mean, he's Texans, Packers, Cardinals.
I don't know. I thought that was non.
So you would not let Jonathan Owens leave the Bears to go watch his wife in the Olympics?
We have this thing called a TV. And you could FaceTime her before and wish her well. And I was like, it's a once in a lifetime thing. And
yeah,
she's a decorated Olympiast, and she's won gold.
What's an Olympiast?
I'm sorry, an Olympian. Well, she's won 3-time. She's a 3-time Olympian and 4-time Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah.
But so it's not like this is new in her first Olympics. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too
tough.
Hang 'em high, Jake.
Yeah. Okay, Coach Lombardi. Steve in Oswego.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. Thanks for taking the call. I think what really needs to get pointed out here is just the irony of the fact that Google, a company company, or I'm sorry, Meta, although I'm sure Google probably could fit into this camp, they don't like free speech for others. They don't like the Army actually learning how to shoot firearms, but if the Army didn't know how to shoot firearms, they wouldn't have the right to thrive on free speech like they do, nor to be a bunch of snowflakes like they are.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, right, the irony is abound because the hypocrisy is so thick. The Army West Point rifle team goes against our community standards. I mean, honestly, I can't. It is just such a perfect commentary on the Bolsheviks' takeover of American culture.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
When I look over America, there's so many things that get me mad. Yeah, we were just talking about some of the things. I know you feel the same way. Stress levels are high right now, which is not healthy. Stress can raise your blood pressure, and high blood pressure is the number one risk factor for mortality. 1 out of 2 of us are walking around with a high blood pressure, and it's a ticking time bomb. But thankfully, it's never been easier to take control of your blood pressure with 120 Life, a remarkable natural juice blend or powder mix that can help lower your blood pressure without the side effects of pills. It's formulated with scientifically backed ingredients from superfruits, berries, and minerals, shown to naturally help control high blood pressure. And it works. It's endorsed by more than 70 health professionals. Try for yourself risk-free with their 2-week trial. Visit 120life.com and use the code LIBERTY to save 15% and receive free shipping. If 120 Life doesn't help you lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give you your money back. So don't get mad. Get even by lowering your blood pressure naturally. Go to 120life.com and use the coupon code LIBERTY to save 15% off your order.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. Joe Biden's withdrawal from the presidential field marks the end of an era. Biden was the last nexus to the Democrats' New Deal working class days. Democrats are now officially the party of technocratic elites and hard-left radicals, ruled by a big money oligarchy with priorities and obsessions far distant from those of everyday Americans. Kamala Harris is a fitting mascot for the post-Biden Democrats. She comes from San Francisco and has never won a non-Californian's vote. She can't credibly pursue Joe Biden's lunch bucket strategy of competing in Rust Belt states like Michigan and Wisconsin. Harris is likely to pursue a Southern strategy focused on North Carolina and Georgia. She may well look carefully at moderate governors like Roy Cooper of North Carolina or Andy Beshear of Kentucky when choosing a running mate. One thing is certain. It's not your parents' Democratic Party. I'm Carol Platt-Liebau.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Paul Jenkins, owner of Bancroft Architects and Engineers, a service-disabled veteran-owned small business providing design solutions for clients, including the VA. When looking for a trusted banking partner, Bancroft was lucky to find that partner in Signature Bank in 2015. With Signature, personal service goes beyond a login and a PIN number. My staff and I have the comfort of knowing that we're dealing with real people who know our business and care about us as individuals. Signature helped finance our new state-of-the-art facility, and Bancroft looks forward to further expanding business opportunities for disabled veterans and historically disadvantaged communities.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:08, we'll talk to Paul Hutchinson. He was the executive producer of Sound of Freedom, the movie, on Kamala Harris and her weakness on border security, what that means for exploiting children. That's at 8:08.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
Charges are pending after a shooting and standoff in Schaumburg, and a Dalton trustee wants to run for mayor. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
He says he'd love to be nice, but he's running against real garbage. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
They weaponized the United States Justice Department against Donald Trump for purposes of hurting their political opponent.
And now that the former president is facing a new Democrat in November, Vice President Harris, he tells Fox this morning.
She's bad news. She's a radical, left, not very smart person.
Now, Harris is the presumptive Democratic nominee, and her campaign put out a first video this morning.
We believe in the promise of America, and we're ready to fight for it. Because when we fight, we win.
Saying she's choosing hope over hate. Now, last night, President Biden addressed the nation on why he dropped out of the race.
I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation. That's the best way to unite our nation.
Saying it's time for fresher and younger voices, though the president says he'll finish his term in office. Former President Trump called it a terrible speech, but also told Fox.
Well, I think it was a coup. They didn't want him running. He was way down in the polls, and they thought he was going to lose. They went to him and they said, you can't win the race, which I think is true.
Tomorrow, former President Trump will meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who he says needs to end the war against Hamas in Gaza quickly. As for the thousands of pro-Palestinian protesters who demonstrated outside Netanyahu's address to Congress yesterday,
I think you should get a 1-year jail sentence if you do anything to desecrate the American flag. Now, people will say, oh, it's unconstitutional. Those are stupid people.
Today, President Biden meets with Israel's prime minister. So will Vice President Harris separately. We just got an update to the economy showing growth doubled last quarter. Compared to the first 3 months of this year, the GDP increase was a better than expected 2.8%. We also got unemployment claims showing a slight decline last week, down 10,000 to 235,000. America's listening to Fox News.
64 degrees, 8:02 is our time. On AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 3 children are recovering following a fire at a CHA building in the city's Douglas neighborhood. 1 suffered burns, 2 others suffered smoke inhalation. Charges pending following a shooting and standoff in Schaumburg. It happened in the 800 block of South Braintree after a noise dispute between a resident and contracted tree trimmer.
And this is probably the first time I've experienced anything like this in a neighborhood. We're not usually, it's pretty much the same scenario. It's a quiet neighborhood, don't have too many issues.
The confrontation resulted in an employee of the tree trimming company being shot. An investigation continues following a break-in at the administrative offices of Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx. State's attorney staffers reporting to the Cook County Sheriff's Office that several computers were taken from their offices. A Dalton trustee is looking to replace embattled incumbent Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Trustee Jason House announcing that he's running for mayor next year. A Second Amendment advocate says Chicago should think twice before going after a firearm popular with law enforcement. Chicago sued Glock earlier this year, alleging the firearms manufacturer produces semi-automatic handguns that can be easily converted to full auto with non-Glock parts. They claim the so-called auto sear can make the handgun fire at a rate of 1,200 rounds a minute. The Second Amendment Foundation's Alan Gottlieb tells us that's impossible. There are no 1,200-round magazines for handguns.
But if you had to stop after firing 10 rounds and reload a magazine, there's no way in a minute you could fire 1,200 rounds. So again, they use this hyperbole to quote-unquote go after people and make these charges in their complaints, which are absurd.
He also warned legal action against a handgun manufacturer popular with police could backfire even more.
Obviously, if law enforcement is using Glocks and they put Glock out of business, they've taken away the primary firearm that their police use to protect people with.
Chicago officials claim to have taken 1,300 converted handguns off the street. The news, a service of Health Insurance Mentors. Are you 65 or older and thinking about Medicare? Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Call Stephen Tucker today for free Medicare advice. 630-674-1551, healthinsurancementors.com. 804, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Southwest Airlines shares are down more than 3%. Its earnings slumped in the recent quarter, and now it's making major changes. Sometime next year, Southwest will end open seating. It will assign seats and offer premium seating with extra legroom, and will also operate 24 hours with red-eye flights for the first time. Royal Caribbean shares are losing ground, even though its profit topped forecasts and it raised its outlook for this year. The number of passenger cruise days came in below Wall Street expectations. The Nasdaq saw its worst drop yesterday since October of 2022. Investors are beginning to wonder if the hype around artificial intelligence that pushed up tech stocks has been overdone. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda. Invested in you.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the founding fathers. Not too long ago, two friends of mine were talking to a Cuban refugee, a businessman who had escaped from Castro. And in the midst of his story, one of my friends turned to the other and said, "We don't know how lucky we are." And the Cuban stopped and said, "How lucky you are. I had some place to escape to." And in that sentence, he told us the entire story. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. And this idea that government is beholden to the people, that it has no other source of power except the sovereign people, is still the newest and the most unique idea in all the long history of man's relation to man.
This moment in American history has been brought to you by Earthworks. Learn more today at earthworksinc.com.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and health care, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Small business owners, we know finishing your to-do list can feel like rowing upstream. But it's a river, a whitewater river, and the only paddles you have are pool noodles. Then when a new to-do pops up, you're like, nope, I'm already rowing upstream with these pool noodle paddles. At Progressive, we don't want to make your day any harder. That's why we make it easy to get personalized discounts with a commercial auto insurance quote online, so your to-do list is smooth sailing. See if you can save on commercial auto insurance in as little as 7 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverages and discounts not available in all states and subject to policy terms and underwriting.
8:08 is our time. Coming up on 8:09, and let's check the roads in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. Inbound Kennedy, 70 minutes from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. You're on the brakes, Montrose into Chicago. The outbound side, due to an earlier accident between the Circle and Ohio, things are all jammed up. Stevenson accident outbound left shoulder between Western and Central. Dan Ryan jams solid in the locals and the express from 47 into the Circle. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Today, mostly sunny, pleasant. It'll be a less humid day. High today at 79. Clear tonight, low 60. Sunny, beauty of a day tomorrow, and the high 83. And then mostly sunny on Saturday, the high 88. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
65 in sun at O'Hare. Your next news update, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Mentioned earlier in the program some reminder here. Please remember what the left, forget Republicans, what the left thought of Kamala Harris not so long ago. She was the object of parody by the left. Like one of the best parodies I've seen of her from The Daily Show just a couple of months ago.
Okay.
An introduction to the people behind the people. Kamala Harris's holistic thought advisor.
This is good.
Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time.
Seems like maybe it's a small issue, it's a big issue. You need to get to go, and need to be able to get where you need to go to do the work and get home.
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree that
she's come so far since our first session. My name is Dahlia Rose Hibiscus, and I am Vice President Kamala Harris's Holistic Thought Advisor. What is a holistic thought advisor? Well, it's holistic, yes, and I am advising. And what do we mean when we say that? It means that I am the one by whom the thoughts are being advised from a place of advisement, and then once advised, communicated holistically.
What?
You get it. I lead the Vice President on not so much sentences as idea voyages.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you.
It's a process I call speaking without thinking. It's not about the destination of the thought. It's about the journey and how many words you use to describe the journey.
That's on top of everything else that we know and don't know yet, based on what we've just been able to see. And because we've seen it or not doesn't mean it hasn't happened.
Whenever the Vice President gets a speech from her staff, the first thing I do is cut out all the words individually, and then I take those words to my word cave. That's where I wait to learn what order the universe wants them to be in. Words have vibrations. The feeling they give you is so much more powerful than what they mean.
We have the ability to see what can be, unburdened by what has been, and then to make the possible actually happen.
I hear the counter arguments all the time. People should be able to understand what their leaders are saying when they talk. But I prefer to leave Kamala's thoughts open to interpretation, like a work of modern art that you look at and go, I wonder what that was all about.
See the moment in time in which we exist and are present. And to be able to contextualize it, to understand where we exist in the history and in the moment as it relates not only to the past but the future.
It really is such a career highlight to be working with someone with such an advanced mind space as the vice president. I also sell essential oils on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, of course you do. Dahlia Rose Hibiscus, thank you so much. So this is the point. I mean, that's the Daily Show. A process I call speaking without thinking. High-level stuff. That's the Daily Show's take on Kamala Harris 5 minutes ago, as we're being reintroduced to her as some sort of dizzying intellect, and she's a debate pro who can prosecute the case against Trump.
She repeats, she's had 2 campaign events, and she said the same things both times.
Well, she's going to be...
She has nothing else.
She is going to be very scripted. I mean, there was reporting in Axios earlier this week that when she was invited to a dinner with the media titans, that they did a rehearsal dinner. Her staff did a rehearsal dinner with her, including contemplating the possibility of having her drink a glass of wine or two, right, so that she could role play with her staff, pretending to be members of the media, and how she would interact with them after having a glass of wine or two. I mean, that's how vacuous she is. But that doesn't mean that her vacuity doesn't spawn real policy problems, including with respect to the position she took when she was a candidate for president in 2020, and of course that she's adopted as the quote-unquote border czar for this administration, which is open borders. She, in 2020, as we've played the clips before, openly contemplating abolishing ICE. It's just opening the borders, but abolishing ICE altogether. We need to start over with ICE.
Right. Reimagine it.
Paul Hutchinson is the founder of the Child Liberation Foundation. He's also the executive producer of Sound of Freedom, the blockbuster movie Sound of Freedom. And of course, his focus is on human trafficking, and particularly the trafficking of children that is exploited by those criminal organizations through America's open border. Paul Hutchinson joins us now. Paul, thanks for being with us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Amy. I appreciate being here on the show and talking about these important issues.
Yeah, so all the fun and games with Kamala and Biden, too, with respect to their speechifying, real serious implications, as I was saying. So why don't you speak to the aspect of that that's of particular interest to you with respect to the lawlessness at our border?
Well, what's and I enjoy listening to that. The what can be unburdened by what has been. It's an important statement, but she says it all the time. She literally doesn't think about anything she says. And on her policies, we can barter back and forth and say that the border wall is a political issue. It should never been a political issue. It's a human trafficking problem, and it has been an utter failure under Kamala as the quote-unquote border czar. Hundreds of thousands of undocumented children are coming across the border. In fact, just recently, it's been revealed that the State Department has admitted they have literally lost 85,000 children. And I'm currently here in South America right now, and every single day, children are being literally taken from healthy families at every major city throughout all of South America and Central America and brought up to the border. And our taxpayer dollars are funding these children to be transported, into many cases, homes that have not been properly vetted. They do not have an FBI background check, and these children are being controlled through fear, manipulation, drugs, just like in the movie Sound of Freedom, where you see the little boy that was being controlled by the traffickers saying, you don't want something bad to happen to your sister, do you? This kind of thing happens all the time, and we need to wake up. It's not just our own children. It's children around the world who are being negatively affected by this failure on the border.
Well, who's taking these kids? Who's kidnapping them, taking them out of their families? Like, what are they, cartels? Are they Who is it?
Well, in a majority of cases worldwide, children that are being exploited usually come from either broken homes, runaways. A broken foster care program in the U.S. is a big deal that we need to fix. But this is the first time that we have hundreds of thousands of children that are coming across the border because of our policy. It's not just the children. If you look at pictures of real refugees that are fleeing from war-torn countries or challenging economic situations, you usually have a mother, you have a father, you have a couple children. You look at the pictures of who's coming across the border now. You've got military-aged males from our enemy countries. This is an invasion that is being orchestrated by this administration. And in addition to that, of course, we've got all of these children, because what's happening is it's a lot more efficient for these traffickers to bring the children to the demand. And that's an entirely other conversation, that the United States is the number one producer and consumer of child pornography, and they're the ones that are traveling abroad to do these horrible things to children, and instead they're now bringing those children to be exploited right here in our backyards.
Yeah, and on the 85,000 kids, that unaccompanied minors that have gone missing, this was reported many months ago, and we were supposed to get an update on that because, of course, Ali Mayorkas said, we're looking into this and we're very concerned about this, and we're going to try to resolve these essentially disappearances. And I never heard any follow-up, and we don't get any follow-up from most of the press corps on this, too, pressing the issue. But I mean, I assume that number probably has grown, just like the number of people in this country illegally has grown, because there is only rhetoric that's directed to addressing these problems, not any substantive action that at least has been documented.
100%. We've got well over 100,000 children a year that are being brought across the border without parents. And hopefully there are some of them that are getting into healthy homes. I'm an advocate of good legislation for healthy families that are coming in and being reintegrated into our society. But unfortunately, when you have this open border policy, immigration is broken in every way, and we need to fix that. In fact, we go into depth on that on the Sound of Freedom book. Goes into depth of what's really going on in our country as well, not just in South and Central America.
Well, it's just sad because so many people are just essentially comfort themselves with mindless sloganeering, not unlike Kamala. So it's children in cages, and hashtag campaigns, hold up a picture, hashtag children in cages. And then it's family separation. Oh, my gosh, family separation. But then the 100,000 kids unaccompanied here a year, and they disappear, probably largely being exploited. I mean, that's just what we assume to be the case, and you have more knowledge about this than just about anybody. And and where are the hashtag campaigns and the sloganeering about family separation and children in potentially much worse than cages around the country?
Absolutely. Before the movie came out, Sound of Freedom, I led over 70 undercover rescue missions in 15 countries, and most of them were ones that were close to the U.S., everywhere from Dominican Republic and Haiti and Mexico and throughout all of Central and South America. And the problem is the Americans that are either going down there or the children that are being brought across the border. And so this should, like I said earlier, this should have never been a political issue. This is a human trafficking issue, and these children are being exploited by the utter failure of Kamala Harris as the quote-unquote border czar.
And so I mean, because this is a political issue, and I'm sure it's going to be prosecuted by both sides over the next 100 days, I mean, if you were advising Trump, I mean, what is the one or two immediate steps that need to be taken to address the damage that's already been done and prevent more damage when it comes to human trafficking?
When children are coming across the border without parents, there needs to be a lot more done in verifying that those children are not being trafficked. There has to be a lot more done in vetting the families that the children are going to. And as a whole, we need to shut down this open border because it is a cesspool of filth of coming across with the cartel members, especially in that part of Mexico, are making massive amounts of money. And a majority of these children and women are being raped even before they come across the border. So it is creating a huge humanitarian problem. And back to the Trump question, there has never been a president in history that has done more to fight child trafficking than Donald Trump. Not one ever in the United States. He has focused right from the beginning of his presidency in 2016 to eradicate this problem, and will absolutely do so again from a place of compassion, but he will do it in the right way when he's back in presidency.
So what happens like a child crosses the border? Where do they go?
Well, here's what happens. They, supposedly they're being transported to a healthy family that can take care of them. But here's the reality. Many of these children that are taken from places here in Central and South America, the parents don't have proper resources to go after that child, to figure out where they are, et cetera. And immediately that child is told, listen, we know where your mother lives. We know where your sister goes to school. You don't want bad things to happen to them, do you? And they're broken down emotionally by being raped almost immediately when they're taken. They're then transported up to the U.S. border, and they're given a phone number. They're given an address of a quote unquote sponsor. And many times these sponsors are not being vetted properly. And if the State Department does deem that sponsor as somebody that is unworthy for that child, then they identify a new family for them. But that child is already told, look, if you don't end up in this family with this person, it's usually a perpetrator. If you don't end up there, then you're required to run away and find this phone number and call this. Otherwise, bad things are going to happen to your family. This happens all the time. They're controlled through fear. They're controlled through manipulation. They're controlled through drugs. And this is where a lot of these kids, even if they were put into quote-unquote healthy homes, all of a sudden run away. Why? Because it's part of the cartel system bringing these children in. They can make a lot more money exploiting those children in the United States than they can in Honduras. And so our taxpayer dollars are being used to fund the transportation of these children to vulnerable homes and places where they can be re-exploited here in the U.S.
Paul Hutchinson is the founder of the Child Liberation Foundation. He was also the executive producer of Sound of Freedom, the blockbuster movie. And by the way, speaking of that, he's got a book coming out, The Sound of Freedom, the true story behind the blockbuster film. That book is due out at some date to be determined, Paul?
Yeah, it'll come out within the next month and a half. You can go to soundoffreedombook.com and pre-order. And it goes into detail of not only the rescue missions, but more importantly, things that parents can do to keep their children safe, things that we can identify that in behavior changes in our children that makes them more at risk. People ask, how can I fix this? How can I work? The worst thing you can do is go to Colombia and try to rescue children. You're going to get shot. The best thing you can do is go home and hug your children, have some dialogue, conversations with them, and I go through that in detail in the Sound of Freedom book.
Paul Hutchinson, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you. God bless you and all that you do. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Don, can you read this email for me?
Of course. Jeez, I wish they could do something for your eyesight.
Me too. But you heard what they said. There's nothing we can do.
When vision loss can't be corrected with glasses or surgery, and hope seems lost, turn to Spectrios Institute for Low Vision. Spectrios doctors specialize in the treatment of vision loss related to eye diseases, such as macular degeneration, glaucoma, and diabetic retinopathy. There is hope, supported by science with personalized rehabilitation plans, occupational therapies, and access technology at Spectrios. Talk to a patient service manager. They'll walk you through the program. Spectrios takes BCBS and Medicare insurance. They also have grants for qualifying patients and offer a Seeing is Believing children's outreach program. Go to spectrios.org, located in Wheaton in a building that says it all, the House of Hope. That's SPECTRIOS.org. Spectrios Institute, the head, heart, and eyes approach to better vision. Remember to keep Spectrios Institute, a 501c, in your estate or legacy planning.
All right, pain from arthritis is just awful. Bone on bone, constant pain. Ugh. It robs you of so much, but there are effective ways to deal with that pain, and we're not talking drugs or surgery. There are exciting new cellular therapies that can get you lasting relief. And the place to go? QC Kinetics. Oh, yeah, they're using cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your own body's healing properties, revitalizing your joints so you can move again. So if you're living with chronic pain and you need to know that steroids and surgery, pain pills, they're no longer your only option. Learn how QC Kinetics can use advanced regenerative medicine to treat the pain, enhance your joints, restore your mobility, and give you long-term relief with no downtime. The local medical professionals at QC Kinetics are ready to help you get your life back with regenerative, restorative cellular treatments for your achy joints. Call for a free consultation right now. New locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. The number to call, get out your pen and paper, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955.
One of the most important decisions you can make as a parent is where you send your kids to school. But these days, it's never been harder to know which school is best. Public schools have changed a lot, and you might be thinking about sending your child to a private Christian school. But you also know that private school can be expensive, and in this economy, you might think it's not an option. Well, think again. With HalfPriceSchools.com, you can purchase tuition vouchers for half the price of normal tuition for private schools. For nearly 10 years, HalfPriceSchools.com has helped families from all over Chicagoland make the dream of private school a reality. And that can be the reality for you and your child, too. Just go to HalfPriceSchools.com, search for a private Christian school near you, and purchase a voucher. It's that easy. Visit HalfPriceSchools.com. That's HalfPriceSchools.com.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. Since 1969, we've been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows. From modern to traditional styles, Marvin replacement windows and doors can bring your backyard right into your living space. Make your home feel brighter and more spacious. Our professional services, along with the best products like Marvin, are why we're proud of our 5-star reviews. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door experts in Chicagoland. Need new windows now? Buy now, pay later with 0% financing for 18 months. Terms and conditions apply. Visit woodlandwindows.com and schedule an appointment today. That's woodlandwindows.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
One of the other moral issues that is sure to get increased profile with Kamala as the Bolsheviks nominee now is respect for human life. They're going to make abortion front and center. We'll talk a little bit about that with Scott Wilder, spokesman for Preborn, at 8:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
64 degrees at 8:32. Global shares have dropped with Tokyo's benchmark closing more than 1,300 points down in trading today. A little pessimism over Chinese shares, as well as investors questioned a central bank decision to cut another key interest rate. On Wednesday, U.S. stock indexes had their worst losses since 2022. President Biden addressing the nation for the first time since his decision to drop out of the 2024 election.
It's not about me. It's about you, your families, your futures. It's about we, the people. We can never forget that. And I never have.
He endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris to be the Democrat nominee for president. Top Republicans are slamming Vice President Harris for skipping Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's address to Congress. Netanyahu stressing that the U.S. and Israel must stand together against Iran.
It's a clash between those who glorify death and those who sanctify life.
NORAD says it scrambled fighter jets yesterday to intercept 2 Russian and 2 Chinese bombers off the coast of Alaska. Charges are pending following a shooting and standoff in Schaumburg. Officials say police responded yesterday to the 800 block of South Braintree after a noise dispute between a resident and contracted tree trimmer. The confrontation resulted in the employee of the tree trimming company being shot.
And this is probably the first time I've experienced anything like this in a neighborhood. We're not usually, it's pretty much the same scenario. It's a quiet neighborhood, don't have too many issues.
Authorities continue investigating a deadly shooting in DuPage County, where the sheriff's office responded Monday night to a reported shooting in unincorporated Lombard near 16th and Myers Road. Ala Namat was found shot to death inside of a car. No one is in custody. And a Dalton trustee is looking to replace embattled incumbent Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Trustee Jason House announcing he's running for mayor next year. The news is a service of Progressive Insurance, and easy-to-use mobile app, personalized discounts, and more. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Discounts and coverage selections not available in all states or situations. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
News happens fast.
The former president was whisked away after gunshots rang out at his rally north of Pittsburgh.
President Biden wrote in a letter posted on social media. It says it is in the best interest of his party and the country to stand down.
When news breaks.
Best suited to assume the position of Vice President of the United States is Senator J.D. Vance.
It happens here.
I proudly accept your nomination for President of the United States.
This is your breaking news and election station. AM 560. The Answer.
Are your file cabinets stuffed with work orders, invoices, bills of lading, medical records, and or compliance papers? There's a solution to clear the clutter by converting your documents into accessible digital form with the help of IDT. They can scan your documents for you or provide you with the technology to transform your workspace with easy and innovative IoT smart connected scanning technology. IoT Smart Connected Scanning not only captures your information, it connects your documents directly to your existing digital systems, ensuring seamless integration and immediate access. Plus, it works with your existing Microsoft Office 365 technology. Convert those physical files into secure, searchable, easy-to-find digital formats. Goodbye, paper chaos. Hello, streamlined, secure digital environment. Visit ready4idt.com. That's ready, the number 4idt.com. IDT, putting paper in its place.
Sheet metal is a big part of commercial and industrial facilities. Look around your business and you'll quickly notice how many components use sheet metal, from fan systems and hoods to machinery guards and much more. For top quality sheet metal work, get to know the pros at Vans Industrial.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, owner of Vans Industrial. Vans Industrial is an industrial sheet metal contractor that can fabricate all types of alloys up to 1-inch plate. We perform jobs including chutes, hoppers, stacks, siding, and dust collection. We work in material handling facilities including steel, chemical, agricultural, food processing plants, and more. Vans Industrial can also design and perform the engineering for a complete turnkey installation. Our quality work is installed by trained mechanics who will work closely with you to make sure the job is done right.
Call 833-VANS-IND for a free inspection of your facility. Interested in what else they do? Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANSindustrial.com. Quality craftsmanship since 1964.
Hey, folks. I just can't help thinking of our stress levels. And high blood pressure is the number one key risk factor for mortality. In fact, 1 in 2 Americans walking around have high blood pressure. That's a ticking time bomb. But thankfully, it's never been easier to take control of your blood pressure. With 120 Life, a truly remarkable natural juice blend that can actually help you lower your blood pressure without the side effects of taking pills every day. 120 Life is formulated with scientifically backed ingredients from superfruits, berries, and minerals that have been shown to naturally help control high blood pressure. And it works. It's endorsed by over 70 health professionals, and I assure you, that's not fake news. I use it myself. I love it. You can try it for yourself risk-free with their 2-week trial. Just go to 120 Life and use the coupon code LIBERTY to save 15% and receive free shipping. If 120 Life doesn't help lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they give you your money back. It's guaranteed. go to 120life.com. That's 120life.com. Go to 120life.com today.
This hourly segment is brought to you by IDT. Eliminate paper files with the IoT Smart Connected Scanning Device. Find them at ready4IDT.com.
8:39. Let's get a check of the roads now. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound Kennedy, 74 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Stop and go on the outbound Kennedy between the Circle and Ohio. Inbound Ike, an hour 7, 390 to the old post office. Stevenson, jam solid from the Tri-State all the way into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Stop and go on the Jane Addams I-90 eastbound between Meacham and Route 53. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Mostly sunny, a pleasant day ahead, and less humid, high 79. Clear and 60 overnight. Currently mostly sunny and 69. Your next news update is at 9, and Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So in the first debate, when it was Biden, Trump was able to effectively jujitsu the abortion issue that the left wants to make so central to this campaign, to turn out their PHAT posses in the wealthy suburbs, places like,
Hinsdale.
Yeah, Hinsdale, River Forest, Wilmette, those places. It's going to be even more of a central issue with Kamala now as the nominee, that's for sure. But it seems to be, again, like it is with all these other issues, since they were partners in all of these policy crimes, there's no real daylight between them. If anything, Kamala comes to the table with a harder edge on these issues where they're on the wrong side of the American public, while Trump has moderated the stated position of the Republican Party after the Dobbs decision, after Roe v. Wade was overturned, to leave the matter up to the states. And if Illinois wants to be an abortion dumping ground, which it is, then that's the choice of the Illinois electorate and their representatives. And what happens in Illinois will be very different than what happens in Texas or Florida. And then it becomes a political issue at the local level and a hearts and minds issue at that same place. But this is something that is more central to Kamala than it was for the big guy. There's no question about it. Let me give you an example of what I mean. Senator Krakajawea, Elizabeth Warren from Massachusetts, on with Klingon Collins on CNN.
Yeah.
And was asked about the accomplishments of one Kamala Harris. So this is Warren on Harris. Her greatest accomplishment as vice president. Are you ready for this?
Yep. Let it
What do you think has been her biggest accomplishment since she's been vice president?
Oh, I have to say, since the Dobbs opinion, the way that she has rallied women and friends of women, also called men, around this country on the issue of abortion and just taken it home. First vice president in history to visit an abortion clinic. Go get them.
Did she just say go get them?
Go get them. Go get those kids.
Get those fetuses, yeah.
First, her greatest accomplishment as vice president was visiting an abortion clinic. It gives you an idea of how central that will be over the next 100 days to what they have to say. And it's going to be important as to what Trump has to say in response. The jiu-jitsuing he did in that first debate, but also in real time on the campaign trail, the messaging that is hopefully preemptive as well as reactive to what you'll get in terms of hysterics from Kamala and company, because, of course, they have this mantra about women's rights, civil rights, and they just rinse and repeat that like they do all of their other lines. It doesn't have to have any connection to reality. For more on the topic of respect for life from womb to tomb, please be joined by Scott Wilder, who's a spokesman for Preborn. And again, you've heard about Preborn on this show. Go to 560answer.com/preborn or call 833-850-BABY. That's 833-850-2229 to support Preborn. And one of the things they do that we've been promoting is provide the resources for women who are seeking an abortion to get an ultrasound because of the conversion rate to having the child that occurs when a woman sees the actual child growing inside her, as we've been discussing. Anyway, Scott Wilder, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Dan, thanks. And Amy, it's great to be with you.
So how about that? I mean, the place we're at now where the left is saying that a vice president's greatest accomplishment is visiting an abortion clinic.
And that's something. You know, I think for most of us who are pro-life, I think for a long time, and look, I hail from the great state of Texas. The Wade from Roe versus Wade was Henry Wade, our district attorney. So I'm quite familiar with this from way back when in the 70s. But for a long time, I think those of us who are pro-life waited a long time for the right president at the right time to come along with the right court and the right Congress in the right mood. They might do the right thing. And look where we are today. We're in a post-Roe world, but the demand for abortions is greater than ever. And what's happening, especially here in Illinois, the idea that if you have a center that wants to provide assistance like free ultrasounds, free pregnancy tests, free services like free maternity clothes, baby clothes, diapers, strollers, cribs, formula, parenting classes, that you are a fraud and practicing in deceptive trade practices if you don't also provide abortions. It is the most evil. And all I would say is, for 18 plus years at Preborn, we have provided free ultrasounds to girls because it doubles the chance that they'll choose life. When she sees her baby, when she hears her baby's heartbeat, more than 83% of the time she chooses life. The other side lies when they say they are pro-women. You cannot be pro-women and be against women having the truth, which comes in the form of the ultrasound, as they make this decision. So all this to say, you know, we waited a long time for this to be fixed politically, and all that time, for 50 years, babies died. And so what Preborn's been doing for 18 years is taking the truth to the people who will actually make the decision, or as W used to say, the decider-in-chief. She is the decider-in-chief. And once her heart is changed, it doesn't matter whether she lives in my home state, the great state of Texas, or the People's Republic of California. It doesn't matter what those laws are, how liberal or how conservative they are. For example, Indiana has very different laws from Illinois. If a girl is pregnant in Indiana, she just comes right across and has the abortion. I mean, Gavin Newsom bought billboard space in Texas, and the billboards read, having trouble getting an abortion here? Come to California. I mean, it's almost abortion trafficking. And so rather than cursing the darkness, shaking our fist, we can shine the light, be the light, just provide these services for free. That's what Preborn's done. I'll also say this. We separately fundraise for overhead and administrative. So whenever we're on the radio, 100% of your gift goes directly to providing ultrasounds. $28 provides one, so even $28 a month, less than $1 a day, about a streaming service, less than $1 a day can save a baby a month for the coming year. And you can even provide an ultrasound machine if you're so inclined. We placed 69 of those last year. That's more than one a week. They're $15,000. I couldn't do it, but a long time ago I just figured I'm just going to say it. Somebody who needs to hear it maybe will hear it. But for the rest of us, $140 can save 5 babies, and $280 can save 10. $2,800 can save 100 babies. But 100% of what you give, when you call that number 833-850-BABY, or you go online to 560theanswer.com, 100% goes directly to saving babies, standing for life, be a hero for life. What you said is true. Kamala Harris is the most radically pro-abortion candidate ever to run for president, and what we can gritch and moan about how bad that is and wring our hands, or we can say, you know what, I'm going to do what I can do. I'm going to come alongside with no judgment, not going to wag a finger in the face of a girl We're going to put an arm around the shoulder and say, we have these free services for you if you'd like them, and we provide them for free. You get no taxpayer dollars, don't charge for any services. So it really is incumbent on those of us who are pro-life. You know, the rest of the world will join us in a lot of humanitarian things. They'll help with us in building cinder block houses and feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, and purifying water and digging wells and all that stuff. But on this, we really are all alone. This is an inside job. And it's the old Sir Edmund Burke quote, "The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing." And today we have a chance to do something, and not just hope, not just talk about it, not just hear about it, but to actually do something, come alongside, provide 1, 2, 5, 10, 100, 1,000 ultrasounds for free, and stand for life in a significant way without saying, well, it's all up to politics. It's not going to be fixed politically by bans and laws, because that doesn't change hearts. This, providing the ultrasound, a heart is changed, and the decision is changed, and life is saved.
I think you have a wonderful organization. How do you find or reach out to these women?
Yeah, we're very sophisticated. We have lots of digital ways and geofencing in different ways, search words. I mean, if the other side can use that great technology, so can we. And so, you know, what we're talking about today is providing those things so that when those young ladies come, for example, talking to you, saying, hey, if you're listening right now and you're pregnant, and you want to come get a free ultrasound, there may be some people doing that, but the great majority of the people listening today would be able to provide those so that they are there for young women who find us. It's word of mouth, but it's not just word of mouth. It's very sophisticated. We use the web very much. We use geofencing very much, and we can provide the help and the hope in the same ways the other people provide the other stuff.
You mentioned placing 69 ultrasound machines. So you work in conjunction with pregnancy care centers?
We do. In fact, we have centers all around the country. We have several in Illinois. We started really there. 52% of abortions are done in 5 states, and so Illinois is one of those. Texas, sadly, is one of those. And so we started just there, but we're so much bigger than that now. So in some of the communities, those, for example, when I'm in New York, we have a center in New York that is in Jamaica, Queens. It's the only pro-life center in New York. And when we raise those funds, those funds stay right there. So you're saving, in so many cases, you're saving your own grandkids, your own great grandnieces. You're providing the services for your own daughters and nieces, and, of course, nephews. I mean, men are involved, too. When you have a man in the room and he hears the heartbeat and he's against the whole thing and only stopped by because the mother of the baby heard it was free, and they're on their way to get an abortion. But once he hears the heartbeat, he puts his cell phone down, and he almost is surprised to hear himself say, "That's a baby." And they choose life. We hear that 1,000 times. And so, you know, this is the placement of the truth at the most important place it could be, right before that decision is made. And it's done in love, no pressure. So much so that we've had, on the rare occasion, we have a girl say, you know, I've heard it, I've seen it, thanks, but I'm going to still go keep my appointment. Had a story just not so long ago of a girl who had said that. And it's, you know, it's sad, but the message they get is, we're still here for you. If you go through with the abortion, we're here for post-abortive counseling. We love you. We support you. 1 year later, this girl walks back in with a baby. Wow. And she says, you never knew this. I didn't tell you at the time, but after I left, it kept ringing around in my head, the sound of the baby's heartbeat, what I saw. And I had my baby, and I just wanted to come back and show her to you. So we know it's valuable. It's not pressure. It's exactly the right thing. And I'll tell you what's deceptive. It's deceptive for the vice president, the president, all of Planned Parenthood, and all the influencers and the megastars. It's deceptive to say it's not a baby. It is immediately obvious to the most casual observer. When you see that ultrasound, when you hear that heartbeat, that is a baby. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to choose life every time, but it doubles the chance they'll choose life. And we've waited for a long time to have some big shot from political on high to do something. And I think this is an opportunity for us just to do what we can do today by providing ultrasounds for free.
And again, the cost of an ultrasound is just $28. And if for $140, you can do that for 5 moms and their babies. And again, the cost of a ultrasound machine, $15,000. That's what it costs to purchase a machine that can save the lives of thousands of babies for years to come. Preborn is the organization to contribute to the cause that Scott was so eloquently outlining. Go to 560theanswer.com/preborn. It's all one word, PREBORN. 560theanswer.com/preborn, or call 833-850-BABY. That's 833-850-2229. Scott Wilder, spokesman for Preborn, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Dan and Amy, thank you.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli, a family-owned restaurant, a Chicago family favorite for over 40 years. Why? Because they're known for sub sandwiches the size of your forearm. No joke. Their 6-inch sub has more meat and cheese in it than any foot-long in an Irish neighborhood. These sandwiches are iconic, famous for their homemade Italian beef, meatballs, burgers, and, of course, delicious Italian subs loaded with mortadella, cabagol, salami, provolone, and their own secret sauce called Love Potion No. 9. This vinegar and oil dressing is famous on its own. Both Augustino's locations boast walls covered in authentic rock and roll memorabilia and artifacts, all celebrating their love for good old-fashioned rock and roll. Augie's is a feast for your eyes and your stomach. Dine in or carry out. Bring the family or the team. Plus, Augie's caters corporate meetings, parties, and celebrations. Don't make it yourself. Make it happen with Augustino's. Go to Augustinos.com for locations and menus. That's Augustinos.com.
They're Trump's most diehard fans in the front row at every Trump rally.
You had to love the United States of America. You had to support Mr. Donald Trump's re-election.
Trump's Front Row Joes is the new 2-part documentary offering the first inside look at the men and women standing shoulder to shoulder with Trump in the greatest political movement in American history.
The kind of basis for all the rallies, there's like dead fans.
Like-minded people following their hero all around the country, exhausting their bank accounts, camping out for days in the freezing cold and scorching heat to support Trump's re-election and make America great again.
The Front Row Joes are very successful, incredible people.
Trump's Front Row Joes, from executive producer Sean Spicer, former White House press secretary and communications director for President Donald J. Trump.
Friendships I've made over the years as a Front Row Joe, it's probably the best part of it.
Don't miss Trump's Front Row Joes. Watch it now. Go to salemnow.com. salemnow.com.
The great hunt is on. Donley Auctions has buyers. They need more collections. This is Sean Thompson. If you're a collector, contact them and find out the market value. If you know a collector, tell Donley about them. If they sell it, you get a Donley's Finder fee. Money for you. Cash in your pocket. Randy, what are you on the hunt for now?
Hi, Sean. I'm currently looking for any old signs for my August auction. I'm especially looking for old gasoline advertising signs and even gas pumps in any condition. Old soda pop and beer signs are also very sought after, and I even have buyers for old outdoor neon and porcelain signs that advertise a business. You'd be surprised at how much some of these signs are worth, but you won't know how much they're worth until you send me pictures to DonleyAuctions.com.
Do you have any of these items? call Donley Auctions. Do you know anybody that does have these items? Call Donley and get the Donley's finder's fee. Donley Auctions, 815-923-7000. Tell them Sean sent you.
At Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, we honor tradition, celebrate faith, and cherish memories. Take an active role in establishing your legacy for future generations by pre-planning your final arrangements today. Alleviate your loved ones of future financial burden. Lock in today's prices and take advantage of interest-free financing and no hidden fees. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right. Thank you so much. And I want to give a big shout out to Mary Ellen for giving me the book Signing Their Rights Away.
Right.
It's the book about the men who signed the United States Constitution. And
Right.
I didn't have to buy it because she gave it to me.
Exactly. If you just beg for stuff on air and people send it to you. Exactly.
Now I need a new car. Now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Charges pending after a shooting and standoff in Schaumburg. Pritzker asked about being considered for VP, and the John Deere layoffs begin. Cubs falter in the ninth. WIND Chicago News Time is 9 o'clock.
House Republicans are about to condemn Vice President Harris. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. In a resolution they may vote on this hour, critical of the job she did as President Biden's border czar after record illegal immigration.
We have 20 million people, many of them are criminals, many of them are terrorists, pouring into our country. We have no idea who they are, where they come from.
And former President Trump also tells Fox this morning his new Democratic opponent is a far-left radical. And before becoming vice president,
she was a failed prosecutor. She put a lot of people in jail that should have never been there. She put people in jail that were political enemies.